Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh, and welcome to our first annual intention setting workshop. Thank you all so much for joining us, and apologies in advance for those who got locked out of Zoom. We maxed out pretty quickly, but thank you for joining us live on YouTube, on Facebook, on LinkedIn. May Allah reward you and bless you and grant you all barakah and ihsan. This is super excited. I'm personally excited. If you're new here and if you've never been with Productive Muslim before, type in new in the chat. I'd love to know if you're first time you're listening to our workshop, first time came across Productive Muslim. Would love to Muhammad Irfan saying he's new, Jazakallah khair. Who else is new here? Would love to kind of see who the new people who joined us and tell us where you're calling him from. I know there's a lot of people who maybe there's many times. I see some old people. Asia, thank you for joining us. Farah also, she's saying she's new. Jazakallah khair for joining us. From Uganda, Jazakallah khair. MashaAllah, we got from Zanzibar. Thank you so much. Yambo, how are you? We hope you're well. All right, from MashaAllah from London. Farah's from London, MashaAllah. Amina from Nigeria is joining us. Okay, George, MashaAllah. Thank you from Creole. From Bangladesh, new from Ireland, Samira. Awesome. Thank you again. Thank you all so much from Luxembourg, from Turkey. Awesome. You guys, again, really appreciate you being here and really being part of this workshop. Honestly, this, I was overwhelmed. There's been over 2,000 people have registered for this live stream by Allah's permission, tawfiq. And honestly speaking, it speaks to the need for us to set our annual intentions in Ramadan and to plan from one Ramadan to the next. And this Ramadan, the theme of this workshop is gardeners. You can see the word gardeners here. I got this shirt from Fruits of Jannah. Shout out to Fruits of Jannah. They're not sponsoring this. I just really love their work. So check out Fruits of Jannah. They have this beautiful shirt called the Gardeners, and I'll show you the back, inshallah ta'ala. May, salam alaikum. May from Egypt, and also Mumina from Philippines, all inshallah ta'ala in Austria, Vienna. Awesome. Jazakumullah khair, inshallah ta'ala. So the purpose of today's workshop is for us, inshallah ta'ala, to be trained on the Productive Muslim Company intention setting system, right? It's how we approach this, how we approach goal setting, or what I call intention setting, and why we're making the case that you should set your intentions in Ramadan and plan from one Ramadan to the next. And the intention of this workshop is that by the end of this workshop, you will have a practical approach to set what I call high himma intentions, high aspiration intentions that can propel you to live the best version of yourself from one Ramadan to the next, inshallah ta'ala. Now I have to say that this is a culmination of years of research and different thought leadership pieces. Some of you may have come across some of our pieces, whether it's the barakah culture versus hustle culture, whether it's the how to set goals like a gardener, whether it's our campaign, the Go Hijri campaign, or even our barakah journal. So you probably come across all these products, and really this workshop is bringing all of that together. Right, it's bringing all of that together and kind of all these concepts all over the place, and inshallah ta'ala helps you to say, well, what does it look like to adopt this entire approach, this whole approach of productivity and intention setting, goal setting from this faith-based, from a barakah culture perspective, with a Go Hijri mindset. That is what this workshop is about. I'm really excited that all of you were able to join, inshallah ta'ala. So let's get started, inshallah ta'ala. So first of all, again, let's start this. First of all, say Bismillah, but Bismillah sincerely. Like I want you to really say you're starting this in the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You are invoking the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in for the beginning of this workshop. You're not just attending another Zoom webinar, another live stream. I'm sure all of you have been, zoomed out by now and have watched so many live streams. But just take this moment to say Bismillah consciously. Like say, in the name of Allah, I'm starting this. In the name of Allah, I'm learning here. In the name of Allah, I'm going to, inshallah, seek something beneficial. And the reason we say Bismillah, it's almost like you are invoking Allah's name. And whenever you invoke Allah's name in anything, there'll be barakah. Maybe you'll read a comment from somebody that might change your life. Maybe I'll say something and, maybe I wouldn't even think about it, and subhanAllah, you might benefit from it, inshallah ta'ala. So I'm hoping that if we all together bring our collective, so say Bismillah consciously, inshallah ta'ala, let's invoke Allah's name, and may Allah put barakah in this session and grant us sincerity and make this sincerity for Him. And inshallah ta'ala, you'll see the benefit that'll come from this workshop for many, many years to come, inshallah ta'ala. So Bismillah, we start, inshallah ta'ala. Let's start with some housekeeping, inshallah ta'ala. So number one, We have two audiences here. Those who are on Zoom, the VIPs who made it early. So, right, so you're on Zoom, and I'm able to I'm tracking you through the chat. So you're great, well done. You made it early, good, mashallah. And then those of you who are on YouTube and LinkedIn and Facebook, and also thank you who are also watching us live. So we're live streaming simultaneously across all platforms to make sure we get the maximum benefit. And I'll be checking the comments from all platforms. So whether you comment on the Zoom, or you comment on LinkedIn, or you comment on Facebook, I can see your comments. In fact, if you're on YouTube or LinkedIn or Facebook, I can actually show your comment live on the screen as well. So if you have questions, if you want to share thoughts, reflections, feel free. I'm happy. I don't get distracted, to be honest. So feel free to type away, and feel free to ask questions. We will have a special Q&A session towards the end, but make sure that feel free to type in the chat with your thoughts on inshallah. Now, this is a 2-hour workshop. So don't worry, hopefully it won't be too boring. I'll make the most of it. We'll have a break if we need to. We'll see if we need a break or not. But otherwise, it'll be a 2-hour workshop. But again, it'll be practical, hands-on. You're going to roll up your sleeves, get some pen and paper, and let's get working with in your intention, inshallah. Now, if you would like to get the recording and slides and any bonus material we mentioned, please do register for this workshop. So if you're on Zoom, you're great. You've already registered, no need to register again. But if you're not, if you joined us through Facebook and YouTube, if your friend just randomly emailed you this, hey, check this out, please do register at productiveness.com, and our wonderful team has already put the link in YouTube and LinkedIn. Just go to productiveness.com/intention workshop, and you can register for this workshop and basically get the recording, slides, and bonus material. We plan to send all of that in 48 hours, Monday, inshallah, Tuesday max, but hopefully by Monday, inshallah. Now, there is a part 2 and part 3 of this workshop, and that is for our Barakah Academy members. So again, if anyone here Barakah Academy members, if you can give a shout out, if you're Barakah Academy member, just raise your hand or just type in the chat. We'd love to say salam to our Barakah Academy members. These are people who sign up for annual member. Mashallah, we have Gami here. She's a Barakah Academy member. Jazakumullah khair. So we got these Barakah Academy members who are signed up for our online platform. They get access to courses, they get access to our circle platform, and so on and so forth. And part of today, inshallah, is we will have a session where I'll be giving you feedback on the intentions you set for yourself. So once you go through this workshop, after the workshop, we'll have a live, feedback session, which we'll do via a platform called Circle. And also we'll have a debrief on Monday as well, inshallah. I'll explain all of that towards the end, inshallah. So this is very practical. Susan, thank you so much for being a member of Barakah Academy. Mahmouda, thank you so much for being a member of Barakah Academy. So yes, for Barakah Academy members, you will be having a part 2 and part 3 where I'll give you personalized feedback on your inner intentions in the afternoon, and then a debrief session on Monday. If you're not Barakah Academy member, what are you doing? Check out barakahacademy.com and become a member today. You can join on those sessions and join others, inshallah. Like I said, we'll have Q&A time as well throughout the, during the end, inshallah. All right, so let's get started. And we get started with basically, again, resetting your intention. If I were to ask you, why did you decide that you needed this workshop, right? So what made you say, you know what, I need to sign up for this workshop. I need to get on this productivity thing and intention workshop. What made you decide to get on this workshop? So if you can just type in the chat, whether Zoom or Facebook or LinkedIn, what did you decide to join the workshop on? What made you decide? Or another way of saying, what's your intention for joining this workshop? Okay, so Ali is saying, I'm all over the place with good things, but I feel I'm losing my purpose. Love that. Okay. Muhammad saying, I want to be more consistent. Yes. What else? Try and be more focused. Okay. My previous intentions led me to workaholism. Wow. Love that. Okay. Awesome. I want to keep the Ramadan spirit alive. I want to stay focused all year round. Okay. And we got here, goes, I want to make the most of my life. I need to plan my life better. I want to take control of my life. Okay. Awesome. Be more resilient, not getting back to bad habits. Yes. Okay. Be better at time management. Yes. Awesome. So I'm an entrepreneur. Whoops. I don't know why this went really tiny. Let's make it a little bigger. Okay. I'm an entrepreneur. I wanted to focus on planning. So try to be positive. Okay. Build barakah in my life. Awesome. All right. Brilliant. And I want you to write down that intention. So on a piece of paper, if you have a piece of paper here, just write down your intention. Say, okay, my intention is, okay, just write what my intention is and just dot, dot, dot. Okay, what is your intention? Just write down your intention, inshallah ta'ala, and just make that part of your saying, this is what I'm going to focus on today. This is my intentions, because make it visible so that you know you want to get the most out of it, inshallah ta'ala. Okay? So you want to get the most out of it, inshallah ta'ala. All right. Let me know when you want to read your intention. Write down, this is my intention for attend this workshop is, and just write down your intention, inshallah ta'ala. Okay? When you say done, let me know done. Awesome. Done, done, done. Awesome. Well done. Let's hear from the live stream people. Fathers like New Year intentions. Yes, we want to set up those New Year intentions. Yes. Adnan saying, make my intention work during Ramadan for real for upcoming 11 months. Yes. All right. Okay, good. Okay. Awesome. All right. So now we've set the intention. Let's start off by understanding, again, I always like to start with why, right? Start with like understanding why we do something and why we plan. So the first thing to say is that planning is really human, right? Think about it. I mean, you don't hear a cow wake up in the morning thinking, 5 years from now, I will be eating grass, 3 miles away. That doesn't work, right? A lot of us, we start off, animals that don't plan the way we do plan. Human beings plan. We plan way into the future, right? And subhanAllah, researchers have found that we have qualities in our brain that is built towards something called goal-oriented navigation. We imagine the future, we imagine outcome, we imagine where we want to go, and then we sort of plan the way to get there. And that's very uniquely human. Again, one of the qualities and blessings Allah has given a human being. Now, when you create this mental game plan, and I'm sure all of you have thought about it, whether you're going to a friend's house or maybe plan for your Ramadan, maybe right now you're planning your last 10 nights, what will you do in each 10 night? What you're planning for Eid, what gifts you get to your friends, what you're going to have for Eid breakfast. Let's not, otherwise I'm going to a whole discussion about that. Let's go and, talk about it, all sorts of things. Like we all plan, right? We all, we have this natural tendencies to plan. So to plan is to be human, right? So there's nothing wrong with planning. In fact, again, our perfect human, the complete human being, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he planned, right? We talked about how he planned, whether he planned the Battle of Badr, whether he planned his Hajj. He told his people, like, I'm going to Hajj this year, and people started coming all over Arabia, for example. Whether it's planning his, when he went for Umrah, for example, and planned, I'll come again next year, for example, with the Sulh Hudaybiyah, whether he planned for his personal, when he said, once he made a hadith that if I had the size of the Jabal of Uhud as gold, I will also, I will spend it except for something that I put aside to pay off debts, for example. So planning. He told his companions to plan in their wasiyah, to plan what they will leave behind after they die. So planning is part of our culture. Now, the interesting thing though is that when it comes to planning, there is a paradox, right? And there is a paradox. And the paradox is this. And if I were to ask you this question, let me know what you think about it, right? Did you imagine 5 years ago being where you are today? Did you imagine 5 years ago being where you are today? So just think about 5 years ago. Rihanna said, nope. Yes, Ali is yes and no. Faiza, not at all. Okay, not at least. Yeah, nope. Yes, okay, awesome. No way, nope. Okay, a lot of no ways. Some ask yes and some no. And the interesting thing is that there are two parts to this, right? There are two parts why we didn't imagine 5 years ago being where you are today. The first one is that we, think about it. When we plan, we lack knowledge, right? We lack knowledge, or at least complete knowledge. I'll say complete knowledge. We might have idea where we want to be, but we lack complete knowledge. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran that, in the tongue of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, وَلَوْ كُنْتُ أَعْلَمُ الْغَيْبِ لَاسْتَكْثَرْتُ مِنَ الْخَيْرِ. If I knew the unseen, if I knew what's coming, I would have basically planned a lot of good things, right? I would know exactly. Think about it. If anyone here is an investor and you know exactly what's going to happen in the stock market, right? You know the unseen, you know what's going to happen. Yes, you'll be a very, very wealthy person, right? So the idea that we lack knowledge. We don't have complete knowledge of what's going to happen for the future. The second thing is we lack control. Okay, we lack, again, I'll put a word, complete control. We don't think about it. Most of us think about the what you call it? Yeah, the COVID. I almost forgot about it. Think about the COVID. Think of how that threw everyone off, right? I remember January 2020, I had all these plans for the year. I'm going to travel this, do this, X, Y, Z. Boom, COVID happened. It completely changed our plans. We lack control, complete control over areas of our life. So this brings that paradox, right? The paradox of planning, which is this. What is the point of planning if I have no idea what the future will hold and I have no control of what's going to happen to me? What is the point of planning? So this is a paradox, right? What is the point of planning if I have no idea what the future will hold? And even if I do, I have no control of all the things that might happen in the future. What are your thoughts on that? I'd love to hear your thoughts. What are your thoughts on that? On the paradox of planning? Because you think should I plan? What's the point of planning? I have no idea where things are going to go, how the world will unfold next 5 years, next 1 year, next 6 months, next 1 week. And at the same time, I have no control of things happen. So what do you think how do you resolve that paradox? So Simon says, saying stay motivated. Ali is saying must continue to put that trust. You plan, but you cannot control the outcome. You have to do your part. Okay. You know what I mean? Yeah. Have a bigger vision. Muhammad Mustafa is saying, yes, he's saying that, it gives you a better boundaries of where to go. Alwiaz talks about tying your camel. Yes. Let's see here. Tie your camel also here. Prepare for a future, but not be rigid. Make flexible plan. You have latitude in action. Yes. Okay. At least you have motivation. Okay. Yeah, again, a lot of times, sometimes we fall into two extremes, right? We fall into two extremes. On one extreme, we say, no planning, right? We say, khali wali, it's okay, man. I don't care, man. We can't guarantee the future. It doesn't matter. Forget it. That's one extreme. And the other extreme, plan everything. Plan every single little. How many of you have people in your family or yourselves who plan every little detail? Right? And then when things don't go according to plan, they get really upset. How many have that? Right? Your family or friends who plan everything to little t, and then when things don't go they get so annoyed. Right? All right. Oh, I love this example. Someone says it's like the plane example. Plans are in control 9% of the time, but they keep adjusting your destination. I love Amna. Thank you for sharing that. It's a great example. Okay. But plan helps us use our time efficiently. Yes. Okay, so we want to avoid these two extremes, right? We want to avoid these two extremes. And the extreme is we are ummatun wasata, right? We are ummatun wasata, meaning what? We are a middle nation. A middle nation means that we plan, right? And we put our action forward. We tie our camel, like most of you said, and we do our part. But we don't get attached to this plan. We don't get attached to this plan. And this is actually the theme of today, which is the gardener mindset, being a gardener. And I spoke about this a few times, right? Being like a gardener. Because the moment you plan like a gardener, again, think of farmers and gardeners. They plant, they put their seeds, they throw in the seeds, they work hard, they plow, they do all the things they do, but they cannot guarantee the fruits. And by the way, the back of this says what? Planting seeds even if you can't see the fruits, right? I wish I could read that. Planting the seeds even though we can't see the fruits. Again, shout out to Fruits of Jannah. They gave, they actually didn't send them. We actually bought it from them, but I love it so much I have to share with everyone else. So the gardeners, we are gardeners. And that's the mindset, right? That's the mindset I want us to set for this workshop. That when we talk about planning our annual goals, planning from one Ramadan to the next, we're going to approach as a gardener. And a gardener, we'll talk more about this in detail, inshallah. A gardener puts the intention, sets where the intention is, works hard, follows the process, but detaches from the results. And we'll talk about that inshallah ta'ala. So that's the paradox of planning. So We mentioned sort of the importance of planning. I'm finding my slides. We mentioned the importance of planning. That number one, to plan is to be human, right? If you don't plan, if you think like, oh no, I don't want to plan, it is part of human nature. Number two, there is a paradox of planning, which is even though we are given this faculty, Allah has blessed our brains with faculty to think about the future and to manage ourselves and navigate the future, but at the same time, it's a paradox because we've lacked control. We don't know exactly how things will pan out. But the way we approach this is like gardeners. The way we resolve this paradox is we plan, we set those intentions, we work hard, we follow a process, we do our best, but we do not get attached to the results of Allah. And finally, the third part is that the planning that we do, and this is the major differentiating factor that people who are like, as Muslims, need to keep this top of mind, is the why that we plan, right? The why we plan. Think about it. A lot of times we think about planning, we think about, okay, I'm planning my retirement, planning my health, my weight, my kids' education, maybe my salah and my Ramadans. But there should be almost like a coherent theme that guides your entire planning process. Something that Ibn Ata'illah calls praiseworthy planning. Praiseworthy planning. So what is praiseworthy planning? Praiseworthy planning is planning that seeks to enhance one's relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you plan, you're planning to say, whether it's planning your retirement, or planning your physical health, or planning your children's education, or planning your next, your masjid events, or planning your next hobby, whatever planning you do, it needs to revolve around this idea. Does this planning get me closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Or does this planning distract me from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? How many of us, we set all these plans that actually distract? One of you mentioned here that, I set a plan, but it turned me into a workaholic, right? Because we set this plan for ourselves, it turned into a workaholic. The idea that sometimes we plan and we make some amazing plans, but those plans distract us from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we want to be careful that when we plan what's known as praiseworthy planning, Taqdeet al-Mahmud, right? It's plan that seeks to enhance one's relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it's not blameworthy planning. And blameworthy planning is what? Planning that revolves around the self and its appetites, heedless of our debt to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as well as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's generosity and barakah in our lives, right? Again, something we plan, we get so distracted that we don't even think about what, like how is plan getting me closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala versus how many is plan actually distracting from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So being very careful of how you plan, why you plan. Does this make sense? So the first thing to keep in mind, number one, is when you plan, the mode to plan is to be human. The Prophet ﷺ himself planned, and it's part of our fitrah, part of our humanity to plan. Number two, we resolve the paradox of planning, the fact we have lack of control and lack of knowledge, because by what? By planning like gardeners. We set the intentions, we work hard, we detach from the results. And we'll talk more about that today, inshallah. Number three, all our planning needs to basically be geared towards this one major idea, to fulfill our purpose in life, that is to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to enhance our relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is every aspect, whether it's you're planning your retirement, or planning your career, or planning your business, or planning your work, or planning your family outings, or planning your vacation, or planning your week plan. Everything is to revolve around this idea. And this takes practice, because we don't think that way. A lot of times we just think, okay, maybe I'll plan my Ramadan and maybe I'll Salah and Quran, but I don't think of planning about how to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when I'm doing my retirement account, or when I'm looking at my books, or when I plan my next week's activities with my kids. I want to start thinking from that perspective. Can I do praiseworthy planning that seeks to enhance your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Every step, every plan is around that concept, and that avoid the blameworthy planning. Avoid planning that revolves around the self. And for those of you who know, again, Productive Muslim and follow our work, we normally talk about something called barakah culture versus hustle culture. And again, there's an article that you will share as well as part of the resources, which goes in detail. And the idea, think about approaching the same idea from perspective of planning. When you approach your planning, not because from an egocentric perspective, it's not a planning about myself, right? Okay, I just want to become a millionaire. I want to just plan a big house. It's about a God-centric planning. Yes, you can plan to be a millionaire, plan to have a big house, but for what purpose? How do you turn it into a God-centric perspective? Think about that how can I make this? It's about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not about me. It's not what I want. It's how I can please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Think of Sulaiman alayhi salam. Sulaiman alayhi salam is, for me, is like, incredible. He made that dua, right? Rabbi habli mulkan la yanbaghi li ahad ba'di. Allah, grant me a kingdom no one else will get after me. He didn't do that for himself, right? He didn't do that for himself. He did that because he wanted to dedicate and make all of Allah's creation worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and dedicate his entire kingdom to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He wanted to almost like, that was his way of praiseworthy planning. He wanted to dedicate that entire force, all those blessings for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it's planning, it's moving away from an egocentric perspective to a God-centric perspective. It's moving away from a personal success drive, right? I'm planning because I just want to look good on my LinkedIn profile versus I'm planning my career because I want to have purpose and impact. I want to have purpose and impact. I'm planning my children's education because, why don't we say, mashallah, look, your kids are X, Y, and Z, versus, no, I'm planning my children's education to say, how can they have more impact, purpose, and impact. It's thinking about how to think about planning around like purpose, impact, inshallah. Worldly focus is hereafter focus. So you want to move away from planning from a worldly perspective to a hereafter focus, right? So think about like, can I plan and seek the hereafter with my plan, right? Can I plan and seek the hereafter with my plans? So again, the idea that all the plans that I'm doing, all the things that I'm getting, how can I maximize my reward in the akhirah? This does not mean you should neglect this world, right? وَاكْتُبْ لَنَا فِي هَذِهِ الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً. Allah write for us goodness in this world and in the next. So the idea is not about neglecting this world. It's about saying how even the what I'm doing in this world is cultivating for the akhirah. Is called for the akhirah. We have a serious misconception. I wrote this in my book, The Product Muslim, where we think, dunya is bad, dunya is bad, dunya is bad. Let me just, the world is bad. Let me just avoid anything to do with this world. Just, live in a cave and be poor and just not achieve any success. And that's a misunderstanding of the hadith and verses of the Quran, because what the Quran and the hadith is warning us against is being distracted by this world. If that car and that house and that on those accounts distract you, then yes, that is a detriment for you. But if they can be utilized and used to basically improve your hereafter and to support you hereafter, then those are khair and barakah. And again, we have examples in the Quran. Like I said, we have Sulaiman alayhi salam and Dhul Qarnayn, who were pretty much ruled everything and were very wealthy and had everything. Also, we had Fir'aun and Qarun, who basically had everything, but they used that wealth, used that blessings for disobeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So being hereafter focused, being conscious hereafter, recognizing that this world is temporary, recognizing that even all the stuff we get here, one day will go away. That mindset helps you, is more barakah culture oriented versus household culture. Focusing on material results. Again, some of the planning is, if it's just about material results, my goal is to hit the $1 million in my account. My goal is to X, Y, and Z. It's very material focused versus, will Allah accept this from me, right? Will Allah accept this from me? Doesn't, focus on God acceptance. Focus that whatever I do, whatever I have, will Allah accept this from me? Versus just the material results. And again, sometimes we get so caught up with the materialistic nature of this world that we forget to seek Allah's acceptance in what we're doing. So moving away from material, focus on material results as our outcomes and focus on Allah's acceptance. So anything you do, again, whether it's your careers, whether it's your family situation, whether it's education, whether it's your personal, hobbies and personal goals, can you seek something, seeking Allah's acceptance and seek, again, part of praiseworthy planning. Moving from never being satisfied, right? Again, hustle culture, it's just never satisfied versus being content. Right, versus being content, where you plan, and you're not planning from a perspective, I hate my life, I hate my body, I need to lose as much weight, I hate my finances, I'm so bad, I'm so poor, I'm so upset with my situation, right? A lot of times we plan from a perspective of almost ungratefulness. We're just ungrateful. We're like, this is not good enough. Let me just plan. I'm gonna have set a new plan which will be better. But what you want to do is start off by being grateful. Start off by thanking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for whatever situation you're in and being thankful for that situation and being grateful for where you are, being content. and then ask Allah for barakah, ask Allah for more, ask Allah to grant you success, right? And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَئِن شَكَرْتُمْ لَأَزِيدَنَّكُمْ. If you're thankful, I will increase you. So He'll increase you, He'll give you that more if you're thankful. But if you start from like, I'm so annoyed, I'm so upset, I don't like how things run, I know this is not how I envision things, right? If you start from that being never satisfied approach, then it's like you're a vicious cycle. You're in a vicious cycle because you'll be ungrateful. You're ungrateful. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not put barakah in your time, does not put barakah in those blessings. You feel you're not achieving your targets. You get more frustrated, you get more ungrateful, versus switching and saying, you know what, just being content, have that complete rida, right? Complete contentment. And from the perspective of contentment, I am planning the future. From the point of contentment and thankfulness, I'm saying, Allah, thank you, jazakallah, alhamdulillah, like being so thankful, and then you plan the future. That is where moving from seeking credit, right, from seeking credit, I mentioned that seeking already, moving from distracted, right, and rushed and busy. Again, sometimes we plan. Again, I want to refer to someone here who mentioned that they planned, but they got overwhelmed, right? They planned, but they became workaholics. Sometimes we plan, and we get so busy with our planning and to achieve our goals set for ourselves that you look back like, whoa, what happened? Where did that year go? Like, I was so busy that I actually forgot myself. I'm always distracted, mostly, always rushed versus being focused and tranquil and present, right? So I want you to think about moving away from plans that just create this distraction and almost make you rush, busy, to saying, what is I need to focus on? It's really important. Again, praiseworthy planning that will help me stay focused, tranquil, be present with my family, inshallah ta'ala. All right. And another one, sense of entitlement. Again, sometimes hustle culture will come and say, oh, I deserve this. Like, based on where I am in life, I'm a skilled person. I reach this career. I should be getting promoted next year. I have this entitlement. I feel like I deserve. I feel the world revolves around me, and basically I deserve whatever success I set for myself. Versus sense of responsibility, thinking, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala opens this door and gives you this khair you're looking for, opens this door of barakah, opens this door of success, you set a plan and Allah made it easy for you, then feel responsible, feel like, okay, this is a blessing, I should be thankful, I should use the right way. It's not again, like Qarun says, إِنَّمَا أُوتِيتُ عَلَى عِلْمٍ عِنْدِي. I was given this knowledge. Qarun was a wealthy person in the time of Musa, and when he was asked to give out of his wealth, to give some charity and be thankful, he's like, no, it's my hard work. I put all the sweat. Again, hustle culture. It's my sweat and tears. I put all the hard work. I deserve this. Versus, it's a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Your role, you should feel a sense of responsibility. A sense of, if Allah gives me something, I feel responsible to say, how can I use it to seek His blessing, to seek His to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Finally, hustle culture is all about big moves, right? All about big moves and short-termism and pivoting all the time. Fail fast, fail forward. We hear that a lot in startup culture. Versus barakah culture is describing one hadith, as Muhammad says, أَحَبُّ الْأَعْمَالِ إِلَى اللَّهِ أَدْوَمُهَا وَإِنْ قَلَّ. The most beloved deeds to Allah, those that last, even if they're little, right? Those that last, even if they're little. That is most beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So thinking about when you plan, don't plan, I will say this for those who attend the Productive Muslim Masterclass, I will say don't plan version 10 of yourself. Plan version 1.1. Think of it as like a software, right? Software is version 1, version 2, version 3. If you plan version 10, okay, by next month I'll be version 10. Guess what? You are setting yourself up for failure, and you're setting yourself up for shaitan to come and say to you, aha, you see, there's no good in you. You cannot achieve this goal. Versus when you think of version 1.1, what's the next best version of myself? What's my next best version? It could be, what is that thing that I need to focus on? Something small, but if I can focus on this one little thing, it'll make a difference in my life. And if I make a step towards this, inshallah, I'll feel better. And then you start making the next intention, inshallah. So those are some thoughts here, inshallah, to help you plan, inshallah. So, and we spoke about 3 things so far. We spoke about, number 1, the why we plan, and decided that to plan is to be human. Number 2, the paradox of planning. We plan even though we have lack of complete knowledge and lack of complete control, but we plan like gardeners, and we plant the seeds, and we work hard, and we detach ourselves from the results. We'll talk more about that today. And we plan from a barakah culture, from a perspective of can I plan with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with seeking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, everything. I'm telling you, every aspect of your life needs to be thought through. Like, how is this enhancing my relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and how, or perhaps distracting, and focusing on that. I want to pause here and ask, does this make sense? Any questions so far? Are we good? What are your thoughts so far? And I want to get the charger for my iPad before it goes off. But type in the questions, chat in the questions while I get my charger shot on. Any questions so far? Alrighty. Yes, I'll share the slides. Yep. Video recording, yep. Okay, now. What is the ideal time for planning? Well, that's a great segue to my next part. The ideal time for planning, again, I'm making the argument, and maybe I'm wrong. Is this charging? Nope, this is not charging. Let me just see. Okay, let's try this one. Isn't it lovely when charging works, doesn't work? The ideal time for planning is that it's this time in Ramadan. This is what I'm making the case for this workshop, and I'll explain in a minute if I can get this thing in. Bismillah. Alrighty. Here we go. Alhamdulillah. So the ideal time for planning is in Ramadan, and the reason we say Ramadan is for 3 reasons, and I mentioned this in the video for those who attend the workshop. Number 1, you are more God-centered. Think about it. Most of us in Ramadan, we are thinking about the akhirah, thinking about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We have this praiseworthy, we're oriented towards being a better abd of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We are thinking about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We are more spiritual. We read more Quran. We do more charity. We do more, taraweeh and fasting. So we are in the zone of praiseworthy planning. Right? We're in the zone to do more praiseworthy planning. Number 2, the time of Ramadan is a time when we are also at our best selves, right? Best selves meaning that shaitan has less influence over us. Our nafs we have more discipline of our nafs just through the fasting and through the suhoor and through the the taraweeh, that we kind of pushing ourselves a bit more, so we have more discipline ourselves versus falling behind in terms of following our desires and nafs. And number 3, think about it. Ramadan is the month of dua as well. If you have any plans that you have for yourself throughout the year, this is the time to double down and make dua for them. Like, this is the time we oh Allah, this is my intention for the year. Allah, make it real. And of course, we have Laylatul Qadr, right? Laylatul Qadr, who some scholars say one of the reasons why it's called Laylatul Qadr is because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He decrees what's going to happen. He confirms, even though it's already decreed, but He confirms what's going to happen to you over the next year. So it's a great time to sneak in. It's like, can you just maybe edit that part? And I want to make sure this happens. So this is part of that. Putting that dua and seeking Allah's dua in this month, especially the last 10 nights, is beautiful. And that's why this is why we did this workshop. We said, what? If you're going to plan, normally people plan in December, January, and that's arbitrary. We don't even we normally break those resolutions within the first month. But from Ramadan to Ramadan makes a lot more sense. And we'll talk more about what this looks like, inshallah. Alrighty. Okay, so some of this question will come back to him in Q&A. I'm conscious of the time, so I'm going to move on to the next part. But again, we will have a Q&A towards the end, inshallah. So we spoke about the importance of planning. We spoke about the paradox of planning. We spoke about also the praiseworthy planning and what it means, inshallah, and how we need to shift from hustle culture planning to barakah culture planning. And by the way, this is not just for individuals. This is also for organizations and for teams. And we recently, Productive Muslim Company, we had our own retreat, and we're going through our intention setting, we're going through our work review, and just trying to, as much as possible as a team, also start thinking. And whether you're in a Muslim organization or not, sometimes we need to start moving away from egocentric planning and personal success drive, trying to God-centric, purpose, impact driven planning. It can make a huge difference. That's my, inshallah, my mission in life is I want to convince organizations and companies to start thinking beyond themselves. Because if everyone's thinking from an egocentric perspective, from a personal success perspective, from a worldly perspective, we will not only destroy ourselves through anxiety and depression and just getting things overwhelmed, but we'll also to be destroying the environment and destroying, we won't be good vicegerents of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Khalifa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There's all sorts of repercussions about this. So if you run an organization or you're part of an organization, get them start thinking about planning in Ramadan. Get them start thinking about planning from moving away from hustle culture to barakah culture. and start thinking beyond themselves, inshallah. That can be a huge barakah, inshallah. All right, so let's start planting, okay? So like I said, today we are approaching this as a gardener mindset, and we want to start off, there are 5 steps that we will be following to help us plan this Ramadan, inshallah. Let me just move these wires away. So okay, today, like I said, get your pen and paper, it's gonna get messy, and that's part of planning. It's just like gardening, gets a little bit messy, hands get dirty, right? That's part of planning. So it'll get a little bit messy, it won't be nice slides anymore. We'll just be going out to, just get your hand dirty, just get your papers up, inshallah. So there are 5 steps. The first step is to perform an annual review. Step 2 is to plan your upcoming year like a gardener. Step 3, distribute your intentions throughout the year. Step 4, track your intentions weekly and daily. And step 5 is dua and action, which they come together, inshallah. So let's start with step 1, which is perform an annual review. Okay, so let's work this out. Again, get your pen and paper and start thinking with me, inshallah, to make the most of this. So first of all, when you start off with your planning, you can think of 2 perspectives, right? I mean, praiseworthy planning. You can think of 2 perspectives. The first perspective is I plan, first of all, from a let's say a vertical perspective and a horizontal perspective. The vertical perspective is your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? So basically you're trying to, as much as possible, increase or improve, right, your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's your vertical relationship, right? So here you need to start thinking about, when you think about relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you need to start thinking about, for example, the basics, right? First of all, obligations. Am I fulfilling the obligations? The 5 daily prayers, the fasting, zakah. Have I went to Hajj or not? Just a basic obligation, for example. Also, think about the disease of the heart, the internal challenges, right? For example, what diseases of the heart am I need to deal with? Do I have arrogance? Do I have kibr? Do I have ghurur, delusion? Do I have, do I show off? Am I not sincere? And you can find lots of works on the disease of the heart, how to deal, but just check that. So normally we think about the external. Am I praying on time? Am I reading the Quran? Start obligations, the kind of like the fard ayn of the external stuff, but also go internally. Like, is there anything in my heart I need to work on? So doing a very, very thorough. This is what's called muhasabah. This is what's called holding yourself accountable and really being honest with yourself and saying, do I have issues with envy, with hasad, with jealousy? Am I have issues with hatred? Do I hate somebody? Do I have issues with backbiting? Do I have issues with adoration? Do I have issues with being attached to this world, meaning in the material sense? So just explore that, and you can find lots of disease, and you can start thinking about them as a serious thing. Another way to do a review was called the 5 questions, right? And we all know there's 5 questions you'll be questioned about on the Day of Judgment. Right, 5 questions. And if you can type in the chat, if you can think of them. One is how you spend your life, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will ask you 5 questions in the judgment. Number 1 is how you spent your life. Number 2 is how you spent your youth, right? When you had most energy and most time, how you spent your youth. Number 3 is from where you earned your money. And number 4, where did you spend it? And number 5, what did you do with the knowledge Allah has given you, right? So the 5 questions. So instead of waiting until being asked on the Day of Judgment, ask yourself these 5 questions. Ask yourself these 5 questions. Number 1, where did I spend my life? How am I spending my life? And really just think through that. I know this might be a lot. You might think you might feel a bit overwhelmed. You might feel disappointed. It's not about guilt or shame. It's the purpose of this part is to just start to realize, take a check, right? As Umar Khattab says, "Hasibu qabla an tuhasabu." Hold yourself accountable before you're held accountable. And the purpose of this part is really the result of the whole part is to do tawbah, right? To do repentance. Because when you look at our obligations, the disease of the heart, and the 5 questions, right? How I spend my life, how I spend my youth, where I earn my money from, how I spend it, and the knowledge, I will realize that there are deficiencies, and that's part of being human, right? We are the sons and daughters of Adam alayhi salam, right? It's part of the experience. But it is not to lead us to despair. Not lead us like, okay, I'm so bad, khalas, game over for me. If anything, it's about seeking, it should intensify our tawbah. A lot of times here, Imam say, make tawbah, Ramadan, make tawbah. But we're like, yeah, but sometimes we don't even feel like, let's say, okay, alhamdulillah, you don't have big sins in your life. You're like, okay, I'm a good, okay-ish person. But when you do this exercise, you realize, oh boy, I have a lot to make tawbah on, right? When you start really thinking about how am I fulfilling my obligations, the disease of the heart I'm dealing with, the 5 questions, and I answer them truthfully, I realize, whew, I have a lot to seek repentance. So it kind of intensifies your tawbah. So now you repent, and the repentance is very sincere, because you can almost like realize, if I drop dead today and I get asked these questions, this can make a huge difference. It can make a huge difference. And the beautiful thing about tawbah, again, you talk about the gardener mindset, it's about removing that old soil, right? As gardeners, sometimes, for those who do gardening, they know this, right? Sometimes you have to remove the old soil or bring fresh soil to the ground. That's exactly the whole idea, right? The whole idea is saying, I'm going to remove this old soil, put some fresh soil on the ground, because now my intention for next year will be more likely to grow. But if I just keep on planning forward and I'm not thinking about these basics, how's my vertical relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? How am I working? How am I building up? And of course, if you, let's say, alhamdulillah, you are doing obligations really well, disease of the heart in check, 5 questions seems reasonable. The question is kind of like adding the additional questions, right? Additional worship. How are you with extra worship? The things that, we think, oh, this is sunnah, it's extra. Like, are you actually doing them? Are you fulfilling them? Again, there's always room for improvement. There's always room for development. And that's the beautiful thing about our relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is never stops. Allah says in the Quran, وَعْبُدْ رَبَّكَ حَتَّى يَأْتِيكَ الْيَقِينَ, and worship your Lord until you hit death, right? There's no moments like, alhamdulillah, I've made it. I'm a good Muslim, alhamdulillah, I'm going to chill now, relax, and just, drink a cup of coffee and I'll be good. Now, it's always constant development, right? Constant, exactly. These has a good point. Self-audit yourself. This is the first step. Before you plan next year, take a moment. And again, how you do this, very simple. You can take just pen and paper. Don't overcomplicate. Don't get a nice, beautiful, whatever. Pen and paper. Sit down. Ask yourself, how am I doing? Talk to your nafs. Say, Muhammad, Fatima, Aliya, Abdullah, Khadija. Like, where am I? What am I doing? You spend some quiet time. Maybe after Fajr, after Suhoor, quiet time. How am I doing my obligations? What disease of the heart I need to deal with? How would I answer those 5 questions if I was asked about today? How am I doing? Am I pushing myself a bit more to increase my relationship, or am I just satisfied with where I am? Right? It's kind of like really ask yourself those questions. So that's the first part, right? This is part 1, you can say. And like I said, the outcome of part 1 is tawbah. The outcome of part 1 is for you to sincerely repent and realize that, I got a long way to go. But again, don't let this exercise make you fall into despair, make you fall like, you are lost. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, one of the major sins is to lose hope in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. One of the major sins, think about it. One of the major sins is to lose hope in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So never lose hope. It's all about holding yourself accountable so that you can propel yourself forward, inshallah. The second part is relationship with His creation. Okay, so it's kind of like the horizontal aspect, kind of the terrestrial level, right? One is celestial level or the spiritual level. One is the kind of on this world, right? The creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is where you need to start asking yourself, how is my relationship with the people, with myself as a human being, and with those around me? And again, some of you might have seen this exercise before, but this exercise I normally recommend to do to help you kind of measure that. Basically, you look at your performance. You look at your performance here, and you look at all the roles you play in life. Okay, so performance can be high performance, low performance, and then look at all the different roles in life. For example, like I'm a father, I'm a husband, I'm a CEO, I'm a neighbor, I'm a son, I'm a brother, I'm an uncle, right? All the different roles you play in life. Just think about all the different roles you play in life. And you ask yourself, okay, how am I doing? Basically, just give yourself a score from 0, let's say, to 100. How am I doing? Honest review. Like, how am I doing? Am I, 50% dad? Am I, 30% husband? Am I 50% CEO? Am I 10% neighbor? Like, How are you doing? Give yourself a score. And again, no one's going to see this. It's just you. And you, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Just you, and just give yourself a score and ask yourself, where am I? And what you're trying to do with this approach is you need to ask yourself the question that you want to sort of build yourself is, am I fulfilling the haqq, the rights and responsibilities of this role? Okay? Am I fulfilling the haqq of this role, or am I not fulfilling the haqq? Now, this is according to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, give an example. If you have a young child and they need your attention and time, and you're not fulfilling the haqq, right? That's a red flag there. You need to differentiate yourself, right? You need to differentiate yourself. Like I need to realign myself. I need to reduce my performance in some roles and increase my performance in another role. If you have older parents that need your attention, they're very sick, right? You need to reduce performance in some roles and increase some roles. So the idea of balancing those rights and responsibilities and asking yourself, am I fulfilling the huquq, the rights of and responsibilities of all the different people, including, there's one person here, your own haqq, right? Your body, your mental health, your well-being. Are you fulfilling that haqq or not? If you are, if let's say, alhamdulillah, you are really you're exerting yourself, you're managing. Again, this is all about how you manage your energy, focus, and time. And then we speak about this a lot in the masterclass. How you manage energy, focus, and time to balance across all these roles, right? So sometimes you put a lot of energy, focus, and time at work, but then you're taking away energy, focus, and time from family. And somebody put a lot of energy, focus, and time with family, but then you're taking away energy, focus, and time from, let's say, community work, right? It's almost like how you're balancing your energy, focus, and time so that you can fulfill the huquq of all those around you. And if you go above and beyond the haqq, that's ihsan from you. And if you go less than that, again, that's something you'll be questioned about. Does this make sense? Does this make sense? So when it comes to the creation, it's about asking yourself, it's about fulfilling the haqq, right? Fulfilling the rights and responsibilities of those around you. And also and the outcome of this is, number one, seeking forgiveness. If you've not give somebody or some people the haqq, seek forgiveness and also rebalance. Sometimes you're putting a lot of effort into something which maybe not be mandatory. Let's say you're involved in so many boards and so many committees and so many events. You might have to say, you know what, something I like to do, I call life editing. All right, I do this every once in a while. Life editing. I look at all my responsibilities and say, you know what, I need to cut out some parts. I need to excuse myself from something. This is voluntary, this is not that essential. It's taking away time from X, Y, and Z. So almost have to do like a life edit. Say, you know what, am I fulfilling the haqq of those that are most important to me? Those that I have responsibilities for, that I'll be questioned about, especially those close to you, your parents, your children, your family. And if I am, alhamdulillah, that's awesome. If I'm not, what do I need to do? Number one, seek the forgiveness. Number two, rebalance. I need to rebalance my responsibilities and say, how can I rebalance that? How do I rebalance? By doing a life edit. I might have to cut myself out from something. I might have to cut down some activities here and there, but I need to rebalance because I need to fulfill the haqq. And also me remember is to think about where we are and think, can we go above inshallah, right? Above inshallah. So think about our own selves, take the personal huquq as well, right? Not to do dhulm, injustice to ourselves as well. All of self-care comes into this as well. Awesome. There's a question from I think from Salima here. Is the goal to be 100% all of these or 50%? Let me ask you this. Is it possible to be 100% all of these goals? Is it possible to be 100% all of these goals? Let me ask you that question. I'm saying no. It's not possible. No. Yeah, exactly. And that's why I said you need to manage energy, focus, and time. This is where you have to make those choices, and there'll always be. It's not easy. This is not easy. I'll have to admit, it's not easy. And it's constantly changing, right? It's constantly changing. Maybe sometimes you might, subhanAllah, again, sometimes to say, like I said, sometimes your kids are young, they need more attention. When they're older, maybe they need less attention. Maybe you have an issue with a neighbor, you have to give some help there. Maybe there's an issue at work, you have to focus there. So it's really about, it's about making those choices. And that's why we need to plan. That's why we need to start thinking, okay, what will I focus on? What would I not focus on? What would I give, how would I balance all of this? That's part of this annual review. That's part of our review. And again, in Surya, again, something we have to understand that each person is different. The context is different. There's no like, this is how the haqq of X, Y, and Z. Each person is different, inshallah. It feels overwhelming. I understand that point. It feels overwhelming, but it's better to start thinking about, what are the responsibilities that I'll be questioned about? And be careful. Sometimes it's not about just fulfilling what people expect from you. Because sometimes, unfortunately, people might have very high expectations from us, but we can't fulfill every responsibilities. It's saying, given where I am, given my context, am I fulfilling the haqq that I can stand in front of Allah subhanahu and say, Allah, I tried my best. Oh Allah, I tried my best to fulfill the huquq of those around me, including myself, and this is where I was. And forgive any shortcomings and help me what's remaining and help me fulfill the haqq, right? It's really, thinking from that perspective, right? It's really about thinking from that perspective, inshallah. Okay, so I hope that helps. Again, prioritize. It's context based, and that's why I don't want to give a blanket answer. Always put X, Y, and Z first. It's context based how you prioritize. Sometimes work can take priority. Sometimes family. Sometimes parents. Sometimes kids. It's all context based on where you are, and you have to almost like balance across these roles. And it's almost like a daily choice, sometimes a weekly choice, or at least an annual decision you have to make a shot on. Okay. Alrighty. Okay, so we spoke about the huquq. We spoke about how we do annual reviews. So, oops, let me show you. Yeah. So, as I said to you, we're talking so far about annual reviews. Okay, and we said that there's two parts to do an annual review for. You want to do an annual review of your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and say, okay, am I fulfilling first of all the basics, the obligations, the things that I've been asked by Allah to perform. Number two, my internal situation, disease of the heart. How is the state of my heart? Do I have envy? Do I have jealousy? Do I have arrogance? Do I have pride? All this negative, how am I dealing with them? Number three, think about the 5 questions. The 5 questions are that you'll be asked about on the day of judgment is, how did you spend your life? How did you spend your youth? Where did you earn your money from? Where you spent your money? And what do you do with the knowledge Allah has given you, right? The 5 areas. So again, just if you do a journal entry, answering these questions and where you are, think about any additional acts of worship that you're doing. And the outcome of this exercise is sincere repentance, right? Sincere repentance, seeking Allah's forgiveness and sincerely asking for His, for His forgiveness. Once you've done that, start looking across, creation ta'ala. Check out, ask yourself, okay, how am I performing across all my roles? How am I performing as mother, wife, daughter, husband, all the different roles you play in life? Is it low performance, high performance? Again, subjective. It's not 100% science, but at least you know yourself better. You know like how well you're performing, how you spend energy, focus, and time. And then saying, am I fulfilling the haqq? Am I fulfilling the rights of this person upon me? Or am I neglecting them? Am I not fulfilling the haqq of them? And then asking myself, also don't forget about yourself as well. You fulfill the rights for yourself as well. Take care of yourself, take care of your body, mental health is also important. And then ask yourself, okay, where do I need to rebalance? Do I need to do some life editing, remove some roles, cut out some roles, reduce my performance some roles? And where do I need to maybe, upgrade some roles? Think about it and build from that, inshallah. So work with life editing and then seek forgiveness. Again, we're not perfect. We make mistakes. Sometimes we don't fulfill the haqq of those closest to us. Seek forgiveness. This is why Eid gifting can be a great time to seek forgiveness. Send a nice Eid gift with a note saying, apologies, I know that I'm not fulfilling your haqq properly. I'll try to do better. I've made it my annual intention, inshallah ta'ala, to make it better, to be a better son or father or husband or X, Y, and Z, and really focus on that role. And then rebalance your life according, inshallah ta'ala. Does this make sense so far? Yes. Okay, good. Ready to move on? Okay, let's do this. Let's take a break, a 5-minute break. So guys, it could be another hour. So let's take a 5-minute break. We'll come back. We'll continue with how to plan your upcoming year like a gardener, inshallah. In the meantime, what I recommend you to do is go to Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad. Go to productivemuslim.com and click on take the assessment. This is another way to do a review of yourself. Take the assessment and it'll pop up this. If you have not done it before, or if you've already done it, do it again. Ask you a bit of questions, things like, we'll ask you a question about yourself, but ask you things, are you praying 5 times a day? How do you sleep? How you manage your focus? How you manage your social relationships? So take out the Productive Muslim assessment. So go to productivemuslim.com and then hit on take the assessment. That way you can complete this assessment to give an idea of where you are. And this is a good way to do a review as well. So I'll give you 5 minutes and we'll be back in 5 minutes, inshallah. All right. Alrighty. طيب. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. All right. Where are we at? What's have ever you completed the assessment, and what are your thoughts so far? What's your thoughts in general so far? So again, just to review for those joined late, and Octine, Assalamu alaikum, thanks for joining us. So we started out by asking ourselves why we plan, and we said this plan is to be human. We said that the paradox of planning, or the challenge of planning in general, is that with how do we plan when we lack control and lack knowledge of where we're heading in life. But really the purpose is to be like gardeners, and we'll talk more about that in a minute, inshallah. And then we spoke about that we should orient ourselves, our entire planning should be for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's why Ramadan is a great time to plan, because we are already in that state of wanting to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, want to be the best abd of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and hence why we set our plan, inshallah. So if those of you complete the assessment, so before the break, I asked you to complete the assessment, the Productive Muslim assessment, and I mentioned to you that you can find this assessment on our, on our website. So if you go to productivemuslim.com, just on the homepage itself, you can click on Take the Assessment, and it will give you a score, right? It'll ask you questions, it'll give you a score. Now, to be very clear, the score is not supposed to judge you or give you like marks. It's only to give you a way to quantify where you're at and what does version 1.1 looks like for you. There was a question earlier on, I mentioned before, when you plan, don't plan version 10 of yourself, version 1.1. And some of you ask, well, how do I know version 1.1? Well, this is where the assessment comes in. You can take the assessment for free, take the assessment, understand where you are, and say, okay, I need to improve a little bit here. I need to add next step here. I need to improve my relationship here. I need to improve my adhkar here, my Quran here. And that's how you build that relationship with Allah. So any thoughts, any feedback, any questions, that question will come for the exam, but any thoughts that are coming, inshallah. Highly, again, remove perfectionist thoughts. Yes, this is not about being perfect. Just like gardening, it's not perfect, right? There's a lot, it can get really messy when it gets gardening. But subhanAllah, sometimes in that messiness, the beauty comes, inshallah. So take that balance, inshallah. And also balance. Yes, we talk about being a balance across your roles, especially when you have other people's responsibilities and not forgetting yourself, is that, inshallah. Rihanna, we all do. We all have many areas of improvement, so don't feel overwhelmed. The intention here is to start making the small progress. We'll talk about how to do so in a minute, inshallah. Any other questions or reflections, inshallah? Okay, so tools, we manage overwhelmness. Yes, we'll talk about we'll talk about the approach in managing overwhelmness today, inshallah. And thank you, Riz, for joining us. Really appreciate you joining. Okay. Alrighty. Okay, so let's took this test scary but in a beautiful way, inshallah. Okay, Thesvia, very nice. I want to spend more time on where I'm spending. Be conscious where I spend my time, right? Again, all comes down to energy, focus, and time. Whenever you think about how to balance yourselves. So let's start off with, let's go next step. So we said there are 5 steps to basically planning your annual plan. The first step was to perform an annual review. The second step is to plan your upcoming year like a gardener. And again, we're going to get our hands dirty. We're going to get this guy out here, inshallah, and let's start planning, inshallah, our upcoming year like a gardener. So roll up your sleeves and let's start thinking about how you plan this garden. So think about this garden from 3 perspectives. I like to talk about things from a spiritual perspective, right? There's a spiritual. And then I always talk about the physical. Again, those who wrote the book will tell you that this is the 3 areas of productivity that I focus on. And then also we talk about the social, right? And Dorian, there's no reason why this is one of the 2. There's no method for this. This is how I draw. So think of these 3 as your 3 gardens, okay? So you're growing these 3 gardens in your life for the next year. For next year, these are the 3 gardens you want to focus on. And again, keeping in mind, of course, number 1, that you are doing barakah culture planning, praiseworthy planning around our huquq responsibilities. So these are 3 areas you want to focus on. For each of these gardens, think about what is the intention. What is the intention for your spiritual garden? What is your intention for the physical garden? and what is your intention for your social garden, right? What is the intention? Meaning like what is I'm trying to grow here, right? What is it that I'm trying to develop here? What's the intention? And keeping in mind, like this maybe I was thinking about this, but this, like, what's my niyyah? What's my niyyah spiritually? What's my niyyah physically even, right? Sometimes we think, oh, I want to lose weight, I want to just build strength. I'm like, what's the niyyah? What's why that's important to you? And again, coming back to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What is the socially, where you want to be in terms of my relationship with those around me? What's the intention behind inshallah? So you can ask yourself a few questions. The question I'll say, for example, where do you want to be? Okay, where do you want to be? Another question you can ask yourself is, who you want to be? Not what you do, but who you want to be. Again, 1 year's time. Another one is what experiences you want to have. Okay. So think about who you want to be, where you want to be, and what experiences you want to have. Okay. Awesome. So, alrighty. Okay, so I'm just checking the picture. Okay, good. So, where do you want to be? The question is, again, if we think of ourselves as a journey, right? Where you want to be? Where you want to be with your salah? Where do you want to be with your Quran? Where do you want to be with your health? Where do you want to be with your relationships, with your family, with those who have haqq upon you? Where do you want to be at work? Where do you want to be in your community? Where do you want to be? Right? So kind of think where you want to be. Or who you want to be. Who you want to be is things like, who do I want to be for my family? I want to be a loving father, a loving husband, for example. Who you want to be in your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I want to be a close friend of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Who you want to be in your physical, like who you want to be is almost like the identity you're going to be taking on board. Because sometimes we live multiple identities, but kind of what is the identity you want to live inshallah. And then what experiences you want to get? What are the experiences? Almost like, again, if you look at a garden, you want a red rose or pink flower or yellow flowers, like what experiences you want to get? What experience you want to get out of life? That's the kind of the questions you want to ask yourself. Again, these are very, we'll talk about defining them in a minute, inshallah, but you want to almost be conscious and clear of where you want to go before you start thinking, okay, I want to make sure that I do X, Y, Z. I want to make sure that I fulfill, that I memorize as much Quran. I want to make sure that I do, X, hit this career target goal. You want to be clear of where you want to be, who you want to be, and what experiences. Sure. So Bilal, what experiences could be, for example, maybe a spiritual side. An experience you want to get to is enjoying tahajjud. Right? So maybe if someone prays tahajjud, or you want to start praying tahajjud, but you want to get to a point where you experience really enjoying tahajjud, looking forward to tahajjud. Or an experience could be, of course, hanging on to the doors of the Kaaba. Right? That's an experience you want to get. Or a physical one could be that you go through an endurance race and you really push your body beyond its limit to find your potential, for example. An experience socially could be, having a really honest conversation with one of your siblings, a really intimate, honest conversation with one of your siblings, right? These experiences that you can seek, that you can make part of your repertoire for your intention. Does that make sense, Bilal? Awesome. And then the other thing is to layer up your intentions. Layer up your intention, meaning that think of multiple intentions. Think of multiple intentions, multiple things that you can think about, right? And this is a beautiful thing. At this point, it's almost like the ideation phase. For those who know design thinking, right? The ideation phase. You're kind of like thinking of lots of ideas, you're thinking lots of intentions, right? You think, what are all the different intentions that I can seek in this 1 year, right? You're just brainstorming. You're not limiting yourself. You're just brainstorming, and you're thinking, this is where do you want to go? So this is the ideation phase, and you're just thinking as loudly as possible. If you want, you can have like a whiteboard and you can start throwing intentions. You can have like sticky notes and put sticky notes on your board. Again, spiritual, physical, social. You can start think of all sorts of different intentions, right? And just think of as many intentions as possible. And the more intentions you have, the more beauty there is, because here's the best thing about our faith. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rewards you for an intention even if you don't achieve it. And that is just, first of all, it's genius because a lot of time when you set intentions, you're more likely to go achieve it. And B, it's so motivating. You don't feel, depressed, overwhelmed, feel like a failure. Because when you set goals, if you achieve your goals, mabruk, well done. If you don't achieve your goals, you feel like, oh, I'm a failure. But when you set intentions, it's a win-win. If you achieve it, you get double the reward, you get the reward for it. If you don't achieve it, if you're really sincere, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rewards you for that intention. So layer up your intention. Think of as many intentions you want and go out. Again, get sticky notes, get whiteboards. I would love if you guys share later on social media, like just think all the different ideas and intentions you came up with. Just go all out. Don't limit yourself. Think about experiences. Think about, in all areas, inshallah, layer up your intentions. Okay. Now, once you've done that part, right? Once you've kind of laid up your intentions, I want you to think of one, what I call high himma intention. Okay, what do I mean by high himma intention? The word himma in Arabic language is high aspiration. Something that is, kind of like a lofty goal or lofty intention, a high himma, something you want to, almost like call a stretch goal, like something you really push yourself for. And I want you to think about, I want you to think about a really strong high himma intention, something that's they're gonna drive the rest of the year for you, right? Something that's, so you have all these intentions. Okay, I want to improve my Quran, improve my relationship with this person, X, Y. But there's one intention that is again high. I like that right now. High determination. Something that's like is gonna be the thing that drives you for the year. A high himma intention. Something that will just make you excited. Something that makes you wake up in the morning. Whenever you lose motivation, whenever you feel like I can't do this. It's the thing that he's like, no, this is what I really want to focus on, my high himma intention. And the reason why I bring this up is because I want to be honest with you, and I sort of speak to you honestly. A lot of us, we set our goals and our set our intentions, we tend to limit ourselves. And we tend to think very meekly, right? And we almost, and excuse me for saying this, but we almost are either shy of asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or we don't realize who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is and what He can do. And as an ummah, and as individuals, as a community, we have such low aspirations and low himma that it shows in our personal lives, our professional lives, and our community life. So I want us to break through that now. I want us to have high himma intentions. Well, I want us to, for ourselves, for our families, for our community, for the ummah at large. Like I want you to go all out, right? Have something that drives you, that feels like it's and beyond you. And again, that's why I said move from this egocentric, selfish mindset of setting goals. What's that high himma? What's that sacrifice you'll make for this ummah? What is that one thing you can turn to Allah on day? So Allah, I dedicated my life for your sake in this regard. This is where I dedicated my life to you. That high himma, that high determination intention. I want you to start building that for yourself and thinking that, because that is going to be the dua you'll make, right? You have all sorts of things, right? You have all sorts of experiences, all sorts of, and the moonshots, like dua, thank you for sharing the moonshots, yes. But this is not moonshot. This is, I call it Jannah shots, right? This is the Firdaus al-A'la min Jannah. This is where you go all out, you seek the highest level of Jannah, right? Again, high himma it could be any example, it depends on your context. It depends on the context. For someone, it could be a high himma is to raise a righteous child, and that's a high himma intention. For someone, it depends on what Allah has given you. All of us are blessed differently. All of us have different contexts. For what is within the context of your life, within the garden of your life, what is that one beautiful tree that this is going to be the tree of this season, the tree of this year? Maybe there's that coconut tree, the palm tree. I think I'm going to really dedicate my resources. Even if the rest of the garden is not that great, but I'm going to make sure this really stands out. There's a special, part of me that I like that tree, inshallah. Does this make sense? Again, this I feel is something we really need to start thinking about carefully. When we think about intentions, yes, we can talk about what we want to achieve out of life, we want to go, spiritual, physical, social, and those are important. Those are the bedrock. But we should have a high himma intention, of course. And this high himma should be God-centered, akhirah focused, should be about impact and purpose, should be this is what sadaqah, maybe it could be a sadaqah jariyah, right? The ongoing charity we leave behind, or some beneficial knowledge, right? That's something that we can dedicate, maybe not just 1 year, but multiple years, inshallah, right? You can have more than one himmah, but I feel like if something is going to occupy your mind, one is pretty plenty. Let's put it that way, right? Yes, you can say it's a burning desire for doing something that is great for the ummah, great for going beyond yourself, inshallah, and kind of put in that extra effort. Because again, sometimes one of the reasons why I have lack of motivation, one of the reasons why whenever I talk to people about it, I do coaching sometimes, I'm like, oh, I feel lazy. I feel so unmotivated. And I notice when I ask them, and everything's perfect in their life. They have a good job, alhamdulillah, good family, alhamdulillah, everything's well. They're good Muslim, they pray, they do everything right. But it's just they feel like there's something missing. And normally it comes down to this high himmah issue. They don't have something to look forward to. They don't have something that they dedicate their life to. And for us as Muslims, honestly, we have the most important mission, right? To fulfill the mission and the vision of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in our own ways, our own capacity. And we've just left that behind. We're just like, oh yeah, someone else will take care of this. Versus each one of us saying, well, what can I contribute to the vision of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? What can I contribute to this ummah's development, ummah's betterment? What can I do with my own capacity? But that is where sometimes it can be part of your careers, sometimes may not be. Again, it doesn't have to be your careers what you're focusing. Sometimes you might be, someone who just, a doctor in the day, but then boom, you're someone else at night, right? Kind of like Superman, right? You take off your clothes, something else. So thinking about shaitan. So think about that high himmah. Now, you might think, well, how do I know what my high himmah is? Where do I start? There's two ways you can start. There's one is a top-down approach, right? So you can have like a specific thing in your mind. For example, I want to end hunger in my neighborhood. Don't think of world hunger, but in my neighborhood, I don't want to go hungry. I want to take care of the orphans in my neighborhood. I want to make sure that no one in my own locality has X, Y, and Z. So is more top-down, meaning you think of something and you work on it. The other one is more bottom-up, which is my personal preference, where you can experiment. You say, okay, in the next weeks, I'm going to experiment with X, Y, and Z, right? I'm going to experiment with some X, Y, and Z. Let's say I'm going to work on, I think my high himmah is to work with the youth, for example. That's my high himmah, and do something, mentor the youth. And you try that and you realize, maybe that's not for me. Or maybe my high himmah is I remember once a person had a high himmah was literally, their high himmah intention was to clean up the coral reef in the area. So they were a diver, and they wanted to, their high himmah was to say, I want to be a Khalifa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah's deputy on earth, to clean up this part of the shore. And that's my responsibility. And they took it as part of upon their responsibility. That's high himmah. They took that high himmah, inshallah. It's to develop and this comes from bottom where you try new things and something just clicks for you. Something, something that people you find easy, other people find hard. You're like, man, I don't know what it's about. You find it so easy. And you feel aligned, you feel alive when you do it. Like you come to life when you do it. And it could be many different areas. You don't think it's just the traditional stuff like teaching or building a well or going on a charity mission. There's so many ways of doing high himmah intention. But I think it's something that gives you aspiration, makes you feel alive, and most importantly, it's for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's sincere, it's akhir focused, it's purpose impact driven. It improves the condition of our ummah, inshallah. Does this make sense? So that was first step, right? Understand, this is the seed. Your intention is like the seed, right? You're planting your seed here. And your seed is saying, okay, what are the intentions? What are the intentions to focus on? For all these areas, spiritual, physical, social, where you want to be, who you want to be, what experience you want to have. Let me layer up my intention. Let me think of as many as I want. And let me see if I can come up to at least one high himmah intention, either from a top-down approach or bottom-up approach. Does this make sense? Am I overwhelming you so far? Yes. Our mind is racing. Okay. The tree of the season, Aisha. I like that. Okay, awesome. All right, so now next part. We're almost, we're keeping going. Next part is, so I've set my seed. So again, as a gardener, I have my seed. Great. The next step is I need to figure out about my soil, right? What do you think does the soil represent? Think about the soil. What does the soil represent? soil, ingredients, action. The environment, yes, that's the one I was looking for, environment. If you ask any gardener, if you put the wrong seed, the right seed in the wrong soil, the wrong type of soil, or in a soil that's drained of energy, or that's not that toxic, right? It won't grow. It won't grow. And I think that is what we need to start thinking. Look, think about environment. And now you start thinking about intentions. So you look at all those intentions you came up with, and also your high human intention. Ask yourself, given the environment that I'm in, and this could be many different environments. It could be the macro environment. So, for example, right now we're going through a COVID situation, right? Could be work environment. Could be family environment. Could be, internal, your heart-centric environment, like your state of your heart, right? For example. And you need to figure out, for all this environment, what's within my control? What's in my control? And what's outside my control? Okay, what's outside my control? Because sometimes, let's say you live in a city that has, has a major issue, right? And the question is, okay, either I move from that city, is that what or I can't move at this point, so I can't control that. Or you're in a work environment that's very toxic for you, that's just causing a lot of issues and stress. You might be able to move away from it. You may not be able to move away. Again, it all depends, all context-based. But you make the intention. What's within your control? What's not within your control? If any is within your control that helps for the seeds to grow, try to change it. Try to manage it, change it, edit it. Right? For example, it could be something simple. Let's say you're trying to lose weight. Simple thing where I'm going to stop buying junk food and start buying vegetables and fruits. That's it. That's all going to change. I'm not doing any exercise. I'm not going to go for walks. I'm just going to change what I buy. That's a change in environment that can have impact on your intention of, let's say, losing weight. Or I'm going to I remember I was talking to somebody where he said, he found a struggle to pray on time because he was saying, I was working from home. He's on Zoom calls all day. So a simple change he did was he just put a prayer mat visibly in his home office. And just seeing the prayer mat got him excited to, reminded him to get up and pray. So something can be subtle change in environment. It doesn't have to be a major change in environment. And something might need to be major change in environment, whether it's moving to a different career, moving different jobs, switching careers, but those are much more longer conversations. But what are the changes I can do in my environment? What's within my control? What's outside my control? This is where the dua comes in. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can change your environment. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can change your situation, right? So you might be in a very toxic environment that's not helping you with all these beautiful intentions for yourself. Instead of giving up and saying, forget it, I'm not gonna do anything, you do what you can and you ask Allah for support. And a good example of this in the Quran is the wife of Fir'aun, the wife of Pharaoh. She said, Rabbi ibni li indaka bayta fil Jannah. Allah built me a house in Jannah, because she was literally living hell in the palace of Fir'aun. And she's like, build for me a house in Jannah, change my environment completely. And talk about change environment, where to go from dunya to akhirah and to Jannah. I think she said to Allah, change my environment. Or that man who killed 99 people. And then we went to the abid, the worshipper, and asked him, would Allah ever forgive me? And he said, well, you killed 99 people. I don't think Allah will forgive you. So he killed him as well. There was 100 people he killed. He went to a scholar, and the scholar said, yes, Allah will forgive you, but you need to change your environment. You need to move to a different city. You need to move to a different town, because that environment you're in is not helping you become a better version of yourself. So ask yourself, what are the environments, and what can I do in my environment to align with my intentions? What can I edit or change? Or maybe realistic, out of all the intentions I've set for myself, which one will most likely flourish in this environment? Maybe you're going through a whole major recession, maybe a boom in your country or something like that, some macroeconomic environment. What will flourish? Maybe this is a good time to start the business, or it's a good time to start X, Y, and Z. Which intention align with the season? This way, again, a gardener is smart. They think of the environment, they think of the seasons, they know the timing is important. That's the approach I'll add. Okay. Yes, that's one approach. I'm looking at something, see this to be the best employee. So again, best employee for what purpose? Not just for your employer. Again, think about the intentions for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala always. Come back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Praiseworthy planning. How does being a best employee help you for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? right? How does an employee, that's about fulfilling the haqq of others, being, fulfill the contract, being able to help you move up in the career so that you can build your financial wealth so they can support more people. So the intention has always come back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then you think about, okay, and then from there is, okay, how's the environment? What do I need to do in the environment to help me move in that career, inshallah? Okay? Does the whole environment thing make sense? Yeah? Okay, yes. Okay, so being very conscious of the environment. So once you understand your environment, so you, again, think about the gardener. The gardener's number one is, I think of my seeds. What am I planting this season? I'm planting coconut tree and a palm tree and a tomato tree and all this. Those are the seeds. And then you can think of as many as you want. But then make sure that, and then you start thinking, okay, which one would be my high himmah, the one that I really want to see grow in the next year, right? And then from there, start analyzing your environment and start asking yourself, what's within my environment and what's within my, my macro environment? How's the soil? Will this seed grow in this environment? Will this drop dead? Now, if you're in an environment where, let's say it's a little bit toxic, what I recommend is to keep it a secret, to keep that intention a secret. So for example, in Surah Al-Kahf, right? Surah Al-Kahf, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about the people of the cave. And they were in a toxic environment. They tried to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but the people in the city and the king of the city anyone who was worshiping God was persecuted. So they went to a cave and they hid themselves in a cave. So they had to hide, right? So sometimes, and maybe if your own house may be toxic or maybe your own situations are difficult, you might have to hide your intention. Maybe not show it, don't show it too early. We'll talk about that towards the end. Like sometimes, being quiet about your intentions. Don't say, oh, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. I'm going to, sometimes we like to talk about our goals. And there's a great TED talk that says that talking about our goals actually leads us to not taking action on our goals. So just keep quiet, right? Just, keep quiet, put your head down, do the work. You're the gardener. The gardener doesn't talk much, right? They put the seed, they start the process, and they follow through. And that could be a way to deal with that toxicity where you do your part within. And that also comes from the hadith that says that when you see something bad in front of you, try to change with your hand. If you can't change with your hand, then with your tongue. If you can't change with your tongue, with your heart. And that's the weakest of faith. Sometimes you might be in a situation where you're like, oh, you want to change it, but you can't. So at least your heart should be against shaitan. All right? So that's the idea. So think of your environment. What's in your control? What's outside your control? And then if what's within your control, take action on that. What's outside of your control, ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He can't change anything, inshallah. From there, we go, so step 2 was, checking the soil. And step 3 is the process, okay? What is the process for gardening? There's watering, there's weeding, there's replenishing the soil, there's, harvesting, there's plowing, right? There's a process. So now what I want you to do is think about the process you will follow to fulfill your intention. Process, not achievement. Not achievement. What do I mean by this? Let's say you want to memorize Quran. Think of the process of memorizing Quran. What is the process? I gotta sit every day for this half an hour and memorize Quran. Don't think achievement. I want to do in 1 year, I'll memorize half the Quran. In 1 year, memorize like 10 surahs. No. Think of the process. What process will I follow? Think about you want to lose weight. Again, don't think I want to be XYZ kilograms or pounds. No. What's the process? I'm going to cut down here, improve exercise. Boom. I'm going to hit my goals. I want to retire as a millionaire. And again, praiseworthy planning. Why? Because I want to live a healthy lifestyle. I want to make sure that I support people when I'm old age. I do sadaqah jariyah. You have all the intentions for Allah Ta'ala. But now you say, okay, that's my intention. That's my him intentions. What's the process for me to getting there? What is I just start saving a little bit every day. I just start saving and start taking the process. Any of this high him intentions. Let's say you want to write a book. What's the process? You sit down, write 100 words a day, right? Write a few hundred words a day. Within a year, you'll have a book. Process. I want to build this mega platform, mega charity. Process. Start with one person that you support and get and move towards it. So Rihanna, the intention is so you set your intention. Allah, this is my niyyah. My niyyah is to X, Y, and Z. My niyyah is to worship you. My need is to pray, istikhar. So my need is to memorize Quran. My need is to lose weight. My need is to save for retirement. And I'm doing all of this for your sake. And again, you gotta be honest with yourself, right? Not do it for selfish reasons, but you really sincerely, all your intentions is for His sake. And you have maybe one high himma intention. You check your environment. You're like, okay, I think my intentions can grow in this environment. The macro situation, the family situation, the works. I think my intention can grow in this environment. Great. Now I need to think, well, what are the steps I'll follow? What is the process? What is the daily, weekly stuff I'm going to follow? The steps, yeah, exactly. What are the steps I got to follow to help me get there, right? And just focus. Again, the gardener cannot guarantee the fruits. Allah says in the Quran, أَفَرَأَيْتُمْ مَا تَحْرُثُونَ أَأَنْتُمْ تَزْرَعُونَ نَحْنُ الزَّارِعُونَ. Do you see that seed which you sow? Are you the one who makes it grow? Are we the grower? Right? Means that you don't make that tree grow. All you do is focus on the process. You take care of the plant, you water it, you make sure nothing affects it, but then you cannot guarantee the fruits. In fact, you might not even see the fruits in your lifetime. And that's another thing. Think very long term. Think very long. You might not even see the fruits in your lifetime. That's a beautiful thing about our deen, inshallah. Okay, yes, exactly. When you start thinking about the achievement, you get lost in the process. You also feel disappointed. Think about it. If you try to memorize Quran, and you're like, I didn't memorize Quran. I spent 5 years, I just don't get it because I thought I'd finish Quran in 5 years' time. I didn't. You get disappointed versus by focusing on the process, you say, okay, alhamdulillah, like I feel like even if I spend 100 years trying to memorize Quran, I don't memorize it, Allah will reward you for that process, that intention, that habit. Again, that's why we have in our faith the idea that if you have a habit and for some reason you got sick or you travel and you don't do that habit for any reason, you get rewarded every day that you miss that habit, because if you were home, you would have continued doing it. And that's, again, the fairness and the beauty of our faith. We get rewarded for intention and for reward of being consistent and for continuing something, inshallah. All right. So the thing about the process, the habits, the routines, the steps that will help you achieve a goal, inshallah. Now, as anyone who has been doing any gardening will know, that sometimes some things come which is outside your control, right? That rain that destroys your crops, that drought that completely messes up all your gardening, those pests that come in and just eat all your vegetables, right? And this is where you detach from the results. But you say, you know what? I'm not in control of the outcome. I have thankfulness when things go my way or better my way, and I have patience when things don't go my way. And I have complete rida, as one mentioned, complete calm and contentment that Allah is giving what's best for me. And that's also a mindset of a gardener. For those who are parents, right? You want to raise your children. You think, okay, I'm going to do all these things, process, right? Right environment, right soil, intention. I have high himma, I have high aspiration for my child. I prepare the rest of the environment. I focus on my child, do everything. And then subhanAllah, this child is unfortunately, let's say, not a great child. It doesn't reach up to expectations. And in fact, very disappointed. Again, you detach. You can say, Allah, I did my best, right? Think of Nuh alayhi salam. Prophet Nuh, his own son disbelieved in him. Think of Prophet Nuh, who for 900 years called his people, called his own son disbelieved him. Think about how that must have hurt as a father, right? But again, he turned to Allah and Allah told him, that's not up to you. The outcome's not up to you. We guide whom we will. You did your part. So I think this idea of being detaching from the results and not being overwhelmed by results. And again, just for those of you, I cover this in the masterclass, but I'll share this with you here just for the benefit, inshallah. If the equation I follow, so think of the process like this. You set the intention. This is what I call sometimes free will, right? This is where you set your own intention. You follow the process, and this is something called natural laws, right? Think of this is how things operate, or also the environment, make sure it's the right environment. But also, you recognize that nothing happens without Allah's permission, right? And sometimes there's an outcome, and usually there's an outcome. You need to focus on intention by thinking of lots of intentions, high him intentions, complete your intentions. Think about the process, what you need to follow, steps you need to do, the environment, all that stuff. And even with this one, you need to ask Allah for permission, because in the end you're the slave and Allah is the master. He can control anything. And this thing is not up to you. This thing, all thing you got to do is saying, you know what? Am I being shukr? Am I thankful when things go my way? Am I being patient when things don't go my way? Most importantly, in either situation, I'm completely content with Allah has given me, inshallah. Does this make sense? And sorry, my handwriting looks like chicken soup. Does this make sense, inshallah? I love that. Yes. Awesome. Awesome. All right. How are you guys feeling so far? How are you feeling so far? Before I carry on, I know that you guys might be like, I know it's almost the 2-hour mark, and how are you feeling? Do you feel I got hold of this? So I was like, what is this guy talking about? It's Ramadan, dude. I'm still fasting. It's like, where are you at? All right, lots of homework to do. Okay, alhamdulillah. Awesome. Okay, so now it's not over yet. It's like I told you you're gonna be working today. Yeah, you thought it'd be an easy session. All right, let's do this. So what I want you to do next now is I would like you to this now you understood. Let's go back to our slides and think of the steps. Right? You said you perform annual review, and that's one step, the whole process. Plan your upcoming year like a gardener. Think about the seed, intentions. Think about the soil, the environment. Think about the process, what you're going to follow, steps. Be and detachment results, right? When what happens, detachment results, and you'll be good. Now it's the time to actually plan and say, you know what? Okay, I need to put pen to paper. I need to start working on this. Okay, so for those of you who registered the workshop, again, if you have not registered, let me see, go to here and you'll get this for free. It's a PDF download. You can download it and go to a local print shop, get it on big paper, as big as you can. And this is where you're going to keep track, inshallah ta'ala. So I recommend this, you get this. So go to register productivemus.com/intention workshop and get yourself a free planner. All right, so let's see how this works. Bismillah. Alrighty. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad. There we go. Okay. So this is where you start at the top here. And this will be, now you're planning from one Ramadan to the next. Okay, so this is annual intention. Again, of course, you can use any time of the year, yes, but I recommend from Ramadan to the next. So ask yourself, what is your annual intention? And I put S, intentions. Okay, so maybe we may change it to S. And this is where I would recommend putting your high himma intention. Okay, the one thing that you're really going to be is your big intention for the year, right? The big intention for the year. You say, you know what? I'm going to really dedicate myself for this. This is my annual intention. This is my intention I'm going to focus on. The one thing. Now, it could be something you want to do or something you want to be. For example, I want to be more generous. That's my intention this year. I want to be more kind. I want to be more environmental conscious. I want to be a better abd of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? So high himma intention. So yes, sorry, high himma, yes. I'm sorry, I had such bad handwriting. So high himma intention. So write down, what is your high himma? It's almost like the theme, the intention you'll nurture throughout this year. Okay? The thing that you will nurture, it could be a to be, a to do. It could be a memorized Quran. It could be, could be a supportive project X, Y, and Z. But something that will just get you excited. Something that will your annual intention. Or you can either write one intention, or you can just divide this up into like small boxes, and just write down like, let's say physical, social. Let's say one annual intention, one spiritual intention, one physical intention, one social intention. You can do that as well. This is just a tool. You can use it however you like. But the idea is that it's an intention that you will carry from this Ramadan until next Ramadan. Okay, so you say to yourself, I'm going to carry this intention from this Ramadan to next. Even 6 months from now, I won't say, maybe not. No, I'm really going to carry this intention from this Ramadan to next Ramadan. All right, that's step one. Okay, let me just double check I got this. Step two is think about your quarterly intentions. Okay, let me put this bigger camera here. Quarterly intentions. And for quarterly intentions is what would I focus on in the upcoming season? And what we did here, again, because we like to go Hijri, the importance of doing the Hijri calendar. we divided the year into 4 seasons. Okay, there's Shawwal, Dhul Qa'dah, Dhul Hijjah, the last 3 months of Islamic calendar. Muharram, Safar, Rabi' al-Awwal, the first 3 months. Rabi' al-Thani, Jumad al-Ula, Jumad al-Thani, and then Rajab, Sha'ban, and then of course Ramadan is the last season. So what you want to do is saying, well, based on my annual intention, let me pace things out. What would I focus in the first 3 months? And 3 months is a great 3 months is actually a great way to actually plan, because normally 1 year is too long, right? 1 year we're like, yeah, I'm not sure, right? And with COVID, we don't know. But you can say, you know what, for the next 3 months, for example, Farhan has a good, my high himma is to pray Fajr on time. Next 3 months, I'm going to focus on praying Fajr on time, right? That's my high himma spiritually. Physically, I'm going to focus on X, Y, and Z. Maybe I'm going to focus on writing 3 chapters of that book. Maybe I'm going to focus on, working X, Y, Z. Like 3 months, 90 days. It's not too long, not too short. It's just right to think, okay, what I'll focus on, inshallah. All right. So from Shawwal, Dhul Qa'dah, Hijjah. And also the good thing about this, the good thing about this, that each of these months have something special. For example, Dhul Qa'dah and Dhul Hijjah and Muharram, they are sacred months, right? They're very special months in Islamic calendar. They're known as sacred months. Also, Rajab is also a sacred month. You got Ramadan as well. You got Rabi' al-Awwal, for example. You got also the Muharram, for example. You got the Ashura. They're all, throughout the Islamic calendar, there are special days as well that you want to keep track of. So you can almost start thinking about it from perspective. For example, maybe I'll aim to complete X, Y, Z. Again, think of the process. Don't be attached to achievement. But on the day of Arafah, which is the day I go to Hajj, in the day of Hajj, the main day of Hajj, I aim to start this process, or to complete a certain process. For example, on Muharram, on the Ashura, for example, I can start on focusing on doing X, Y, Z, for example. And you can start thinking, but divided to 3 months framework makes this much more doable. And each 3 months, ask yourself, okay, number 1, what is my annual intention? Has it changed? It shouldn't change. Number 2, I want to make sure that I will fulfill this intention. I'm going to divide intention into 3 month intentions, not even goals. I don't like the word goals. I think goals can get very outcome oriented. 3 month intentions. For the next 3 months, based on my annual intention, for the next 3 months, I'm going to focus on X, Y, and Z. For the next 3 months, I'm going to focus on, A, B, C. Does this make sense so far? Annual intentions and quarterly intentions. Does this make sense? Yes? Okay. All right. And then comes the last part, the monthly intentions. The monthly intentions, now each Islamic month, at the beginning of each Islamic month, you will say, what's your intention for this Hijri month? And again, and you're going to divide it into smaller steps. So you divide it into smaller steps. What are 3 main intentions you do for in Shawwal? And then in Dhul Qa'dah, and then Dhul Hijjah, for example. All right? With small steps that you can focus on. And the beautiful thing about this is this aligns with Hijri calendar. And then also you can do things like your dua for those, for example, in Shawwal, we do the 6 days of Shawwal, for example. We can also do the monthly fasting, 3 days of the month. And you can start thinking, what are your main intentions that you can start aligning with these monthly intentions? So you start annual, you go quarterly, you go monthly, and this is from one Ramadan to the next. From one Ramadan to the next. And you're always keeping in mind that your intention is that by this Ramadan, inshallah ta'ala, you have made progress. I'm not saying maybe you achieved it, you have made progress on your annual intention. You've made progress. Alhamdulillah. This year I've set my intention that I want to focus on X, Y, and Z. I focus every 3 months, I focus every month, and then by next Ramadan I can review and saying, subhanAllah, have I actually achieved this or not? Have I made progress on this intention or not? Was I sincere with this intention or not, inshallah? Does this make sense? Does this make sense? Again, this is going to be a great tool to just basically, put up on your wall, and put it in your office, in your home office, in your work office. Maybe do this as a family, right? What's your annual intention as a family? Quarterly intentions. Maybe do this as a team. And then you put it up there and you're like, all right, Bismillah. And the beautiful thing is about, again, just like gardeners, you got to be flexible. Sometimes the seasons change. Sometimes you realize, oh, wow, I'm actually making progress much quicker than expected. Or maybe, oh, you know what, this is a slow month. Let me change up my intention a little bit. That's part of the process. That's part of the process. So normally I would focus, I'll start filling the annual first and then the quarterly. That's at least for now, this Ramadan, I'll say basically next 2 days for you guys. Focus on your annual intentions and your quarter intentions. So at least you plan out how you spread yourself out. And then your monthly intentions you'll do at the beginning of each month. At the beginning of each Islamic month, inshallah. Does that make sense? Tarannum, yes, your intention may repeat, but you might be more specific. For example, let's say your annual intention is to, let's say annual intention is to memorize a Quran, for example, right? Quarterly intention can memorize 5 ajza, for example, or to at least have made progress, memorize 5 quarters out. And then monthly intention is focused on maybe 3 chapters, right? So it's more like you divide intention without being attached to results. Maybe you go beyond that goal, intention, or not. Maybe you go less. But the idea is that you break down the one big high himma or all these annual intentions into quarterly intentions. Like this is next 3 months, this is what I want to focus on. And then one shot, and then think of a monthly intention shot out. Any other question about the intention planner? Again, you can get this for free if you register. So make sure you do register to get this PDF. And if for some reason you're not getting the email, drop us an email. I think Khadija is in the chat. She's responding back to you all and helping you shout out. All right. Then, not done yet. So you have annual intentions, niyyah. This is what I'm focusing on. You have quarterly. You say, okay, next 3 months, at least for now, from the first quarter, from Shawwal till Dhul Hijjah. Don't worry about beyond that. Let's think from Shawwal to Dhul Hijjah, at least for now. This is my intention. This is how I'm going to make progress on that big intention. Okay, and then now let's say Shawwal starts. So let's say I start, Shawwal starts, and okay, Bismillah, I'm going to start with this intention. And then now comes the daily, weekly part, right? And this is where I'm going to do a shameless plug, but this is where the Barakah Journal comes in. All right, so the Barakah Journal, for those who don't know, is a productivity journal that has weekly, daily planning. And basically, in your weekly, daily planning, you'll come to your Barakah Journal, and the Barakah Journal will ask you questions such as, let's see, Well, this is a sample one. It's not a real one because it's the way the real ones to arrive. They already arrived in Texas, but they have not showed up yet in our doorstep. Okay, so you'll start weekly planning, and you start each week. You start first with thankfulness, gratitude, and then what are your most important intentions for this week? Boom. This is what are your most important intentions. You're like, oh, you know what? Let me go back to monthly intention. Oh, you know what? Let me go to my quarterly intention. Now all is aligned. I'm clear where I go on all that next. And whatever I do in this week needs to be aligned with that. If it's not, that means I'm distracted. That means I'm not focused. And that means I need to revise my intentions. All right, so this is the question here. And then daily planning. What is your most important intention today? What's the one thing they could do today to make progress on those monthly, annual intention? Does that make sense? All right, so you think of daily intentions there, and then of course we do weekly review and how which intention we're able to focus on this week. What have you learned about yourself? What do you intend to focus on next week? So again, it comes back to the idea of keeping track of your intentions. Keep track of your intentions, and again, I want us to use the language intentions versus goals and targets, because goals and targets can be very hustle culture oriented. Intentions is more spiritual, more about the why, the purpose. Is a lot, you can be more sincere about them. Very, very powerful, inshallah. So I highly recommend to focus on that. So, and yes, you can, if I remember correctly, order the Barakah Journal at barakahjournal.com. They have arrived, finally they've printed, they've shipped, they arrived in Houston, my understanding, hopefully be in Dallas in about a few days. And we'll start shipping them out for all those who pre-ordered in the next coming weeks. And we're hoping that everyone arrives before or after Eid, depends where you are in the world, but this is the plan, inshallah. So alhamdulillah, we're making good progress in that. So if you would like one for your own, please, it's a good time to order now as we order, inshallah. All right, so let me see where we are at now. We spoke about annual intentions. We spoke about Barakah journals. And then the final part basically is going back to this equation. Let's see. final part is basically this part, right? You know, you set the intention, you follow the process, and you just gotta constantly make dua. You just gotta constantly pray like anything for this. Like if this is important to you, if these intentions, that's why I said choose something that's important. If these intentions are important to you, this is when you make dua for, especially in these last 10 nights. You're gonna be asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I want you to be very specific in your dua, because one of those beautiful spiritual moments you can have in life is when you reflect back and realize, oh my goodness, that dua I made last year got answered. Or that dua I made like 5 years ago, it got answered, right? That is just an intense feeling of spirituality that is priceless. And so you want to, whatever intention for yourself, and whether it's, you know, buying a house or building or this, whatever, again, as long as praiseworthy planning, as long as God-centered, hereafter focus, and it's focused on why I want this for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as long as it's sincere and you're saying, oh Allah, I'm making these intentions so that I can be the best servant of you, Allah. And it's not about myself, not my ego, it's not about just material success. It's about this world and the next. And you focus on that. And you ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, ask Allah for goodness in this world and goodness in the hereafter. Not just, you know, don't be of those who just ask for goodness in this world and forget their hereafter. That is where I'm going to focus on. If you can get yourself to that level of intentionality and living each day, making dua, right? Each day you are sincerely, in Ramadan, outside Ramadan, one thing will happen, two things will happen. Either Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will open the doors for you and you'll be like, whew, achieve these goals becomes easy. Or you might face challenges, but either you're able to overcome these challenges and you'll get experience from those challenges, or a door will be completely shut in your face and you realize, you know what, maybe that intention was not good for me. And you focus on something else, right? Allah will guide you to something else. Okay? Does this make sense? Does this make sense? So we spoke about 5 steps basically, right? Perform an annual review. We spoke about how to do an annual review. Plan your upcoming year like a gardener. Distribute your year intention throughout the year, right? Using quarterly, monthly intention. And track your intentions weekly, daily. You can, you know, if you get the Barakah journal, that's great. If not, whoops. I'm sure the slides went. Allahu Akbar. Excuse that. So let me see, where did it go? My slides disappeared. There you go. I made it very small. I don't know why that happened. Look at that. How cute. Because it's really tiny little piece. There we go. All right. Then you can follow the steps, right? Track your intentions. And then, like I said, as you working is dua in action, and detach yourself from results. And remember, if Allah allows something to happen, it's from Him. If Allah does not allow something to happen, it's to test us and to test our sincerity and honesty. We keep persevering, keep pushing. And unless the door is completely shut, we don't give up, right? We don't give up. We keep on asking, keep on working, taking the process. We keep on planting and putting a seed. Sometimes it might take us multiple seasons before we finally get that tree we're looking for. So build inshallah ta'ala and make that happen inshallah ta'ala. All right? So I'm going to ask a question before we wrap up. We're almost like a few minutes left, inshallah ta'ala. Number 1, on a scale of 1 to 10, how ready are you to set your annual intentions today and make dua for them to the last 10 nights of Ramadan? 10 Gemi, 10 Alia, awesome. 10, 10, 10. Yes, 8, 10, 8. Okay, good. You get 8 and 10. Okay. For those of you who are less than 10, or even if you're 10, my next question is, what is your number 1 concern regarding setting annual intention? What are you worried about? What are you worried about? Not keeping up, lazy, procrastination, consistency, okay. Relapse, lazy, being sincere, okay. Okay. Few distractions, okay. And you can excuse my daughter screaming there. What else? Distract work, yep. Okay. Now, what I want you to think about is 2 perspectives, right? Think from the perspective of small steps, small steps, right? If this is the first time you're doing this process, don't think of major intentions that will overwhelm you. Think of what is, if you might have high intentions, good, keep them on. But even have intention, if I could do this, the smallest, next best intention I can focus on, that is what I focus on, right? This is what I want to dedicate myself to. And the reason why I'm saying this is because sometimes if we set ourselves such high aim intention, we get overwhelmed. But set the high aim intentions, but then think, what's the smallest progress I can make? What's the smallest progress I can make towards this high aim intention? What is the smallest progress I can make towards my intentions? And once you make this intention, follow through, make small steps. And now trust me, as soon as Ramadan finishes, guess what? Shaitan will come and goes, is that what your intention is? He'll look at your chart and goes, okay, let me see how I can break this guy down. Don't fall for that. That's why make that high himma intention. Make that commitment saying, I'm not going to fall for this. I'm going to go all out and make the most of this intention. I'm going to inshallah fulfill. And that's why make that commitment, make that in sincere intention, make that dua inshallah ta'ala to really push yourself, saying, well, Allah, I'm going to be my best and to fulfill this intention. And here's the best part. Even if you drop dead, God forbid, between now and next Ramadan, Allah will reward you for that intention if you're sincere. And just think about that. Right now we don't know. We have this COVID happening. There's so many things happening. Even if you drop dead, that's why put your intentions. Set your intentions. Don't feel shy. Put your intentions. Even if you drop dead, Allah will reward you for that intention because you were sincere. You started the process. You put the plan. You said, Allah, I'm focused on this. That is by itself success. And that's why as believers, we're true success, inshallah ta'ala. So what's next? Number one, if you have not registered for this workshop, please do register. Go to productives.com/intention workshop you'll get the recording and bonus materials, slides, and links to articles in 48 hours, inshallah ta'ala. So please do register if you have not registered, especially watching on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. If you've done this exercise, I would love to see your photos. Go on Instagram, whatever, you can share intentions. If you want to share publicly, if not, you don't worry. It's private, I understand, no worries. Or you can just privately DM me on Product Muslim Instagram. Please, we'll be honored to have you, inshallah ta'ala. If you are a member of Barakah Academy, so if you're a member of Barakah Academy, let me just switch my screen, inshallah ta'ala. If you're a member of Barakah Academy, what we'll be doing is, inshallah ta'ala, starting, for those who are in Barakah Academy, I will be posting a question inside Ramadan like a pro, and we'll come here at 4 p.m. in 4 hours, inshallah ta'ala. And you can basically post your questions here, your intentions. You can ask your questions, and I'll answer them for you. And also give you feedback on your annual intentions. All right, so I'll give you feedback on your annual intentions. And, inshallah ta'ala, we'll spend a couple hours. So by 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Central Time, I'll be inside a circle. Also on Monday, for Barakah members, we have a debrief session where I'll be getting your feedback and your questions about how did that last session, what did you learn? What are the challenges you think about? Because I want this to be as practical as possible. If you're not a Barakah member, check out barakahacademy.com. This is where you become a member and you get access to courses and book clubs and community. It's a brilliant space. I really recommend you to just join this space and become a member of Barakah Academy. And inshallah ta'ala, again, today, 4 o'clock, I'll be inside Barakah Academy via chat and I'll be answering questions. I'll post the post, inshallah, after this call to explain how it will work. And then Monday, we'll have a debrief session with Barakah members. Get geared up for that, inshallah ta'ala. Now, the other thing I was going to say is that because you all attended this workshop, inshallah ta'ala, we do have a special bonus and a special discount coupon to our masterclass. I referred to the masterclass a few times, inshallah ta'ala. The Productive Muslim Masterclass, it runs 2 or 3 times a year, depending on how often you do it. It is a productivity masterclass where you understand how you manage your energy, your focus, your time, kind of like, all the challenging things. How do you manage your procrastination, consistency? So once you set your intentions, you're like, okay, I've got all these intentions, but how do I manage my personal productivity to help become a better version of myself? Then please go to productiveness.com/masterclass. And here is the link. When you go to this link, inshallah ta'ala, if you go to homepage, click on masterclass. This is where wrong slides. There you go. This is the masterclass page. Watch the video. It'll explain all the sessions we cover. What we cover is a 6-week live program. It's about, we'll basically be like this, talking through all the different challenges, managing your energy, your focus, your time, nutrition, habits, the daily routine of the Prophet ﷺ, all sorts of things from a faith perspective as well as from a scientific perspective. So you can learn a lot of practical tips there. And again, we're offering a 10% discount for those who register for this workshop, and you can use this coupon code. And the coupon code does expire by the by the end of Ramadan, inshallah. So do make use of that, inshallah. Alrighty, okay. With that, honestly, first of all, Jazakumullah khair. Thank you so much. I will spend another 5-10 minutes for answering questions because I know I promised to spend some time to answer questions. So I will, spend here some time to answer your questions. But for those who leave, first of all, Jazakumullah khair. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you found this useful and beneficial, and you found this, inshallah, that is practical. I hope that you do follow Productive Muslim and you do follow resources and do support our work, inshallah, to help the ummah become a better version of itself. And inshallah, all of us, we can become gardeners, have high himma intentions, and inshallah, Allah puts barakah in everything we do, inshallah. Jazakumullah khair. Subhanakallahumma hamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. And it's Q&A time. So put your questions, inshallah. I'll answer a few questions, not too many, because I do have another engagement. But inshallah, we'll move from there, inshallah. Okay. Okay, so the question about, Hayat asking about 3 different gardens: spiritual, physical, social. And what about financial? I would put financial under social. And the reason I do that is because finance is a means, right? Money is a means, not the end. So I'll say, how do I use my finances for spiritual purposes, for physical purposes, for social purposes? So I'll put that. However, if you do want to, more like dedicate some time to get your finances in order, maybe you don't budget, maybe you don't invest. So I'm going to dedicate some time on this for the right reasons. Then I'll say finances, will put it as a separate garden. That's fine. You can have as many gardens as you want. I just put 3 there as the starting point, inshallah. Alrighty. Let's see. All right, so Farhan asking, how to overcome years of procrastination is I've not taken seriously to low intentions. I mean, you answered the question, right? A lot of times when we have low intentions, we don't feel motivated to do something, and that's why we fall into procrastination and living up. But you might want to start with something that's achievable for you, something, an intention that you feel like I can get this, because sometimes you need the success momentum. You need to kind of set an intention that you, within 3-4 months, you actually make progress on. You're like, oh wow, I'm actually making progress, and that fuels your intention further. So that's what I'll say. And then, of course, the idea of self-criticize a failing plan is to remember, it's not, again, if you say, oh Allah, sincerely, I've worked hard, I've done my best, and the plan failed, alhamdulillah, right? You're thankful, and you ask Allah for barakah and khair to guide what's better. And not to, but if you yourself have not fulfilled the haqq, or have not done your best, is ask for forgiveness and to grant you the barakah to enable you next time, inshallah. All right. Ali, what is the difference between the masterclass and Barakah Academy? Good question. So basically, Productive Muslim, we have multiple products and services. We have live cohort programs called masterclasses. We have the productivity masterclass, a mindfulness masterclass with Wadud, a confidence masterclass, a money masterclass, different masterclasses. These are 6-week programs where we take a topic and we go deep from a faith perspective as well as from a latest research perspective as well. And these happen, once a month, once a quarter. You can find a program, you can find the latest one on our website, and also when you subscribe to our email list. Barakah Academy is a membership platform for those who want access to, there's some pre-recorded courses, but more for us a community of learners who come together and really just say they want to live that barakah culture lifestyle. It's for professionals, mainly targeted Muslim professionals who want to live a barakah full life, as we call it, basically. So we have discussions, we have book club, we have community spaces. We also, if you become Barakah Academy member, we actually give you more discount in our masterclasses. So we get 15% discount for Barakah Academy members to join our masterclass as well as there's lots of other perks that again other Barakah Academy members can tell you about, inshallah. So we also sometimes do live workshops, we do challenges. So if you want to join a community of people who just think this way, practical, actionable, faith-based, scientific backed, self-development, personal professional development, Barakah Academy is a great way to enjoy that, inshallah. Alrighty, any other question? Let's see. The next productivity masterclass starts on 22nd of Shawwal, which is June 1st. It'll be, so you can, again, if you go to productives.com/, let's see, there you go. You'll find the date on there, inshallah, date and time and local time zone, all that stuff, inshallah. Okay. I'm trying to think about other questions here. Isn't daily revising intentions too much time consuming? I wouldn't say so. I would say, in fact, if whenever I revise my intention on a daily, weekly basis, it keeps me on track because we get distracted, right? There's another question about social media. Sometimes you get distracted, but when you start thinking about your intentions daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, it keeps you focused and you don't get distracted as well, inshallah. So I think actually reminding you daily isn't distracted, actually very good for you, inshallah. Okay. All right. Does Barakah Gel ship across the world? Yes, it does. We ship worldwide, even if you are on Mars. No, I'm kidding, you're not Mars. But even if you're anywhere in the world, we ship inshallah. All right. Samira, a question about how to write intentions. So my niyyah, you can say my niyyah is to memorize X number of Quran, 3 lines daily. That's a beautiful intention because it's very process driven, right? But of course, ultimate niyyah is to memorize Quran. So you have like an ultimate goal with that intention, but your niyyah is to follow 3 lines a day, so inshallah. So that works as well. So you can't be goal is like my intention is to publish a book, my intention is to run this charity, my intention is to feed 100 people. But the more process driven it is, the better, inshallah. Okay? Let's say, okay. So Hyderabad, how to make money, many God-centric. So the thing with money, we have this very unhealthy relationship with money. We think money is bad. Money is like, oh, astaghfirullah, you should like avoid money, right? And it's almost, again, we see this in our seerah, we see this in the Prophet's examples where money is a means, right? Money is a means. If that money is going to distract you from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if that money is going to make you just be so consumed, how to make money, how to earn money, how to spend money, where to spend money, all this stuff, then yes, then the money becomes bad by itself. But if that money can be used, if you're seeking money and you're sincere, and that's why it's very, very tricky, because sometimes we know ourselves. If you feel, you know what, I know myself, I'm greedy, or I know myself, I have a disease of the heart where I know that, more money can actually cause more issues for me, basically. You need to work on yourself. You want to reach a point where money's in your hands or not, it doesn't affect your faith, it doesn't affect your spirituality. And we see this in the example of Sahaba, see these examples of the prophets, where they showed us they were role models on how some were very wealthy, but that money did not take over their lives, did not drive their whole being. And the question is, what is driving your whole being? And that's where that's where you need to think about as well, inshallah. Okay. What is improving our mind fall? I would say under social spirit, actually all three, to be honest, Abdul Muhammad. I would say all three, depends on the context, because the spiritual mind, the physical mind, being able to mental health, and also social mind are how we focus on others as well. So all three. Again, I mentioned this in the book as well. Alrighty, let's see. So again, a question about goals, intentions. I would say if the way I would say when I put, even though sometimes I might write an intention that might seem like a goal, the question is, the intention sounds more like a why, like I want to, you could say, for example, I want to help people learn X, Y, and Z. There's a driver, and the reason why I'm doing this is because this is on to serve the ummah this way. There's almost like a why behind it, and it's not and less about the result I might get. It's not like, oh, I want to get I want to make sure that 5,000 people, I feed 5,000 people. That's more goal-oriented. Versus my intention is to feed people in my neighborhood so that no one goes hungry in my neighborhood, inshallah. That's my niyyah. Now, how to achieve my niyyah? I could be feed 5 people a day, 100 people a day, 30 people a day. And you might get 5,000, might get more than 5,000. But it's kind of like more like the why. And again, sorry, maybe I'm not very clear, but the why is the intention, and less about the outcome that you're looking for, right? For example, someone say, there's a difference between I want to lose weight, which is the outcome, versus I want to have my intention is to have a healthy body that serves Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's an intention. Versus I want to lose weight, right? My intention is to retire with enough money to build a waqf, right? And that's the intention. Like there's a reason why there, versus I just want to retire with $1 million in my account. My intention is to spread this concept of faith-based productivity, versus I want to publish a XYZ books. I hope that helps, right? Does that make sense? Again, someone else about the intention. I hope that makes sense. Okay. You can add as many, all ta'ala. Isra, great question about, we're told to think about death. So I'll say thinking about death should be like a fire under you. Meaning what? When you set a high himma intention and you think about death, you realize I might not have time. So I need to even push myself harder, right? And this is also another question about, apathy, for example, right? Apathy, if someone says, I have apathy towards the dunya. We have apathy, we don't have a high himma. If you set a high himma intention, you're like, I really want to do this. Like, I really, this is my niyyah, and I want Allah to give me the long life to fulfill this niyyah. And then like, Allah, please, help me to fulfill this niyyah. And therefore, the reminding of death would be like a motivation factor, basically. So I see death is not a way to put you down from thinking, inspiring you. It actually can be very, very inspiring, inshallah. Right. Okay. Thank you again. Jazakumullah khair so much. I hope you found this useful, beneficial. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you and bless you all and grant you barakah. Please remember myself, my family, and the entire Product Muslim team in your dua, especially the last 10 nights. Go there, set those annual intention, and let's see if you guys enjoyed this and you want to be repeating every year, maybe we'll do an annual thing. Every year Ramadan, we can come online, we can just do an annual intentions again, inshallah ta'ala. So again, jazakumullah khair, barakallahu feekum, subhanakallahumma hamdik, ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala barakatuh.